Welcome to ChewTheChat podcast.
After the ice bath, we were. He messaged us the next day, like, "How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing?" And I was like, to be honest, I'm not feeling that zen. Like, everyone kind of just felt fucking mental. Like the day
mutilated.
Yeah, like they're just like anxious. Like my I think I woke up the day after the ice bath and I instantly lost my shit because we ran out of coffee. Annie was like, "Where's the coffee?" And I was like, "This is not zen at all." And then Matt was like, "Yeah, I've been feeling really weird in my chest, like anxious." And then he messaged Tom. Is it Tom? Dan Beckett, who did the Wim Hof thing. And he said it's completely normal. I mean, things start to bubble up when you're kind of doing the work as well, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
but
well,
it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it off cryo. I said to Matt yesterday, I get it from cryo a little bit. I've had it a couple of times from cryo where I've just had that kind of, that weird kind of just slight agitation and anxiety. And because I think I've set myself up to be zen out my tree. I've just done cryo. I've got everything set up. A lot of the time when I'm doing floating or cryo, I've set my life up around it. I've got all the dots are dotted, the T's are crossed.
Yeah, covering all bases.
Yeah, I've got free time, and I strategically try and set up. So then when I come out of a cryo and I feel all kind of like almost
just a bit off, just a bit wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I was last time I did cryo. I haven't done it for ages. But I came out a bit like, as I double dip once, I did do a double dip once where you're like, 3 minutes and then 3 minutes again. Like
really?
I did it one day, only once. I don't think I'll do it again because that was quite intense. Because you get out and then Dom puts you on like the exercise bike for like 2 minutes, then you jump back in. The second time you just don't want it.
Wow.
Yeah. And after that I was like, I think that was too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Because it is what you're putting your animal through. It's such a, again, it's an ordeal. Back to the ordeals and stepping out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I do, it's definitely mentally clearing anyway, cold water anyway, definitely. Especially when you don't want it, that's when you want it, that's when you need it.
Yeah, that's the trick to
this
life.
You're having a great shower, it's cold outside, you've been on site all day, and you're like, oh, and you're just looking at it, you're looking at the controller and you think, oh, God, here we go. Here we go. And I did it earlier. And like I think I said earlier, like when we spoke last week, I'm always just like, you're a fucking pussy. And then do it. Always something like that, or just like, and then just
break through that final barrier.
Yeah, and then really be still as it goes cold. Like, just stay still, let it wash over you. And it's hard because you want to move. You want to because it's cold. It's so cold. But like on the ice bath, it's on when you're getting into the ice bath. You do the exhale. I mean, Matt did this really well. But like that's when you do the exhale
as you sink in.
As you're going in, because your instinct is to go in your chest, like high up here, and like start breathing quickly here, but it's just. And after a few breaths, it's okay, but I haven't done an ice bath in ages.
What's an ice bath coming in at in terms of temperature?
I don't know, actually.
I think what did Matt say?
What did he say?
Chuck us that vape, Aidan. I'm going to fill it up before we go fucking beaming out there. Although the Christmas special, I think we were that smashed that I ended up just fucking filling it up while we were middle of the podcast. Oh dear.
What vape's that?
It's just a little. It's called the Herbivore 5G. It's got a little ceramic chamber. Just got a ceramic chamber in there that just heats up, and as simple as that.
And beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bit of a fuck about vapes because you've got to press the button in a strange kind of Morse code style to get it on, and then change the temperatures. And there's a lot of button pressing, and then waiting for it to get up to heat. You've got on this one, you've got 3 colours. So you've got green, blue, and then white, and that represents the heat.
Right. Okay.
So the harsher the heat, the harsher the hit, quicker the burn.
Yeah.
So, for instance, it's 5 to get on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it'll flash. And when it goes solid, it's up to heat. So if I send it up again, once that goes solid, it's up to heat, ready to burn, ready to go. And then you've got, I don't even know, I've never measured it, but I think you've maybe got like a minute or 2 minutes to vape.
They always catch you off guard as well, because when I first got a vape, I was like, I don't think I got anything.
Yeah. It sneaks up.
Oh, and then you're like, whoa, dear.
It sneaks right up behind you, doesn't it?
It does,
It does, yeah.
Catch you off guard, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, listen, Kieron, welcome to Chew the Chat podcast. It's a pleasure to have you back in the studio. Well, no, I digress from the first podcast I ever recorded was on the road. It was in your float space with you.
Yes, it was, yeah. Last November, I think, something like that.
It probably was, yeah, November 2019.
Yeah.
So for people who watch the podcast here on YouTube, they won't necessarily know that the audio version of this podcast you've been sponsoring from day one, Go Deep Floatation. You are Mr. Go Deep Floatation. You've been giving good vibes to the people for, what, a couple of years now?
Yeah, it's 2 years in July.
There you go.
Yeah, because you started and we were just opening, so it all coincided really nicely.
Yeah.
The way we met.
Yeah.
And the way through your wife Alex and met up with Annie and did some doula work.
Yes.
And then
witches and wizards.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And then I said to her, "Well, you welcome to come for a float?" And she was like, "Oh no, I think my husband might." And then that was it.
I was over the moon. I mean, because I was going to calm water for a long time, since 2012 or 13, I think. That's the closest I could get.
Yeah.
And then, Alex came back from doing some work with Annie, and it was like, oh, I think you're really going to like them. They're lovely people, and they've got a float centre. It's like, whoa. And then, obviously, we hit it off, and not only floating, and I'm sure topics we'll touch tonight, occult, magic, and all of that stuff. But yeah, that first podcast, 2019, end of 2019, we did it in the float space. I'd just done a float, hadn't I think?
Yes, you had. You floated before. Yeah, that's
right.
And
I came sort of floating out into that nice, lovely, tranquil space that you have just outside the float room, and we just got into it, and it was really, really lovely, a lovely episode. And considering it was my first, I don't know if you'd done a podcast at that point. Man, no. I mean, I'd done one before, but with my brothers, which will probably surface in the future somewhere, which was via Skype. They were in Thailand, but that was the first time I'd sat out, with my little, I think I had a laptop and a couple of USB mics.
Yeah.
And we did that episode. But that's episode 4 for people if they want to go back. Check it out, episode 4 with Kieron, Go Deep. We talk about your upbringing, your trajectory. And it was lovely, as I say. But as we sit here today in the studio, it's lovely to have you. People can see you, Kieron.
I'm here.
Yes.
Dude, it's so nice to be here. I've seen, on the set, the helm.
Yep.
The helm of, the hive mind of this podcast. It's great. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
And thanks for letting us come on again.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And tonight, we had a little get together at Christmas, didn't we?
We did.
In a bubble, in a nice, safe bubble, a really tight little bubble.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that tonight. But I think. Well, before I start, I want to
say, is that
I've got my
the Enochian,
the Book of Enoch. I put this on out of celebratory reverence.
I saw it earlier.
Our nod to John D.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Who?
We got it.
There it is, look.
Louvre, yeah.
This was another thing that we got chatting about.
Yes, it was.
So,
admittedly, I never finished that.
Oh, fucking tell me about it, right? There you go, Aidan. So, I'll go down my camera, look. There you go, John D. Now, I got about, in fact, I'll tell you where I got. I'm about a third of the way through, yeah?
Yep, okay.
There, look.
Yep. It's so, when you start getting into the hieroglyphs and the Enochian magic and just some of the tables and the way they set everything out, it's so confusing to take in.
John D. and the Empire
of Angels.
And this is Jason Louvre, who is powerful. Jason Louvre. I've listened to so much of him via Duncan Trussell and those guys, and when I knew this book was coming, I thought, my God, there's some fucking history and some madness in that book.
Yeah,
but getting that far in, it was so dense.
It was. I know we spoke about it, and I was like, I wonder if he's actually reading it. I wonder if, because I was like, I've gone halfway, and I need to read it again. Like, I didn't even get, because I think the last bit of the book is like about Parsons and rocketry and like Scientology and the stems and roots of that, of how like.
How John it all comes about.
Yeah, it stems back to the 1600s of just a guy in London just invoking the spirits with his mate Edward Kelly. Yeah, but it was it's a really interesting book, and that's how we. Well, actually, no, I think you posted on a story about Leadenham.
Leadenham, yeah, because he spent time in Leadenham, which is a little village not miles from here.
No, not far at all. And it was really weird because the day I read. It was about a month before I read that page, and the day before I was working in Leadenham, at an old pub, like repiping it and putting some heating in. They would turn it into like an Airbnb. I'd never been to Leadenham. And I was like, oh, it's a nice village. And literally the next day I read that page and I saw Lincolnshire. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
It was so strange.
Yeah.
So I've been there. I've been in the church a few times because
Wow.
there's a plaque on the wall. You can see like his name there.
Really?
Like,
Because
like,
you said to me I should get down there and have a look
Yeah,
at that.
it's
'Cause I was there not long after, I think, similar to see a client, and I remember you saying you were actually there.
Yeah.
I'd been back to see it.
Yeah, I've been. When did I last go? I can't remember when I last went. But the door was closed. The church door was closed. So I was like, gutted. But you can go in there. And it's just weird to stand in there and be like, the guy opened the place up and looked after this for like 10 years. And I was trying to work out where he lived. I was like, where would he live? Would it be like the vicarage or?
There's a couple of old buildings still there, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. But like, yeah, super interesting. I mean, it's way over my head as well.
Well, we should probably give people a little bit of an outline on John Dee. So John Dee was kind of, like you say, 1600s. He was an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, was it?
Yeah. Advisor, astrologer. I mean, a lot of the monarchy is well organised. A lot of their dates around astrological events. So it was always quite normal to have a right-hand man such as John Dee. But he resided in Mortlake in London and here, and kind of switched between both of them, I think. But yeah, he was also, I think he had the biggest library in the world after...
Yeah, that's I read that, yeah.
Yeah, after
remember that.
the Library of Alexandria. Yeah, he was like, he had all the sacred books, and I think he might have had, I heard McKenna talking about it once, the Voynich manuscript. Right. Which is a book that no one has been able to decipher. It's in a language that no one knows, and there's not ever been anything found that resembles anything like it. And I think he had it for a bit and was trying, I think quite a few famous people have been trying to decipher it and what it holds, but I think he was in possession of it for a while. So just a really interesting guy.
Super interesting. And there's some kind of vague rumours of James Bond being sort of finding its roots from John Dee.
Yeah, I mean, he was the
007.
He was the 007. He was the original. He would sign his a lot of letters as well to Queen Elizabeth with 007.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some. I can't remember the reason for that. I'm sure there's some numerological
I think when he left the monarch and went off travelling through Europe, he was accused of espionage quite often for the British Empire, and I think he's said to have coined that term as well, the British Empire.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and also he was responsible for circumnavigating the globe, like the maths of how to decipher where actually geographically you are located in the earth, like on the earth, and how to get from point A to point B. And his, I think, like sums and mathematics worked out how people got around really well.
It's amazing,
which is nuts. Yeah,
Some
but then
crazy
also
mind.
he spent a lot of time, working with the divine and trying to tune in and decipher the Enochian alphabet, which was which is
there you go. I think I'm actually wearing this T-shirt on the press shot for this podcast. In fact. Yeah.
But I mean, it's something I've never...
I mean, you look at it and it just like...
Yeah. I mean, this guy spent his whole life doing this with Edward Kelly, like channeling the spirits, working with the archangels, which is really similar to, Crowley and Freemasons.
Well, so much inspiration came directly from John Dee, didn't it?
Yeah. And also he was like the first Merlin archetype. Yeah. Like Gandalf, Merlin, like he was the guy that was kind of the
wizard.
The wizard, the English kind of shaman that was a wizard, and into his... Well, kind of, he was the stem of the a lot of occult
I need to finish this fucking book.
Dude,
making me want to get back into the book.
I do. But I think I stopped. I can't remember where I stopped, but I think what's amazing is they spent years deciphering this. And then one day they'd get like a channeling from Edward Kelly, because Edward Kelly was the guy that was doing the readings and the scrying and kind of tuning in, and kind of John Dee was navigating him through the process. But, they'd go a year with writing something, and then one day you'll get a message saying, "Oh, you've been tricked. You've been tricked by a demon." And I think about many, many times they started it over again, because an archangel would come to them saying, "Oh, you've been deceived for the past year. Don't trust it." And there was so many times in the book I was like, God,
yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know how he ended. I can't remember how life ended up. Actually, it was quite sad.
I think it was sad. I think he died in squalor, in poverty. Yeah, Aidan might be able to whip something up. But
was he trying to like decipher? Well, the
probably,
alchemical dream, trying to turn lead into gold. And that's what
the alchemy.
Monarch, that's what the monarch wanted.
Yeah.
Whereas really, alchemy is like a transmutation of your inner self.
Yeah, spirit and energy. And,
but of course, the monarch, like gold.
Yeah,
turn
it into gold. Yeah, there he is. There's powerful John Dee. Look. Upon his return to England, he found his home library vandalised. He eventually returned to the service of the Queen, but was turned away when she was succeeded by James I. He died in poverty, and his grave site is unknown.
Apparently, he's buried next to, in Mortlake, next to his house, at an altar of a church. He's buried actually at Mortlake Church.
Right.
Actually at the altar, apparently. You have to maybe check that, but
okay.
Just crazy rumours as well.
When you do dig in, and there's a lot to dig into, and as I was finding when I was reading this book, so much of it that was from my little brain was trying to retain names of all these people along the way, these other spiritualists and occultists and monarchs and aristocrats and all of this. God, it was like, what? And it always comes back to me with any history I read. It's like, how the fuck do we know this? How has this been recounted on some deer skin at one point, and then it's been sort of scribbled onto some tablet, and then we've managed to get onto paper, and all the while, like you used to tape over tapes, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And by the time you got to the fucking bit you wanted, it was just like a dirge.
The screen would start fucking swirling. You go, no.
So it always mesmerises me, that. But yeah, there's so much that leads back to John Dee, and a lot of, I think, probably putting my neck out a bit, but a bit of suppression as well on some of his history and some of his finding and some of his knowledge and his work. Yeah,
definitely. In what respect do you think?
I don't know. I think because it's a bit woo.
Yeah, very woo.
And a bit esoteric and, it's not matter of fact.
Definitely.
Is it?
Definitely, no. And he's...
And obviously the whole connection in time since with Aleister Crowley, whose reputation was a little bit darker, and and it all comes from John Dee, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's divination,
occult,
and occult, and you pay homage to the corners of your east, south, and west, and north, and you make your life a ritual, the whole ritual. And the more, it's hard as well as. I remember McKenna talking about it actually in one lecture. But he was saying when he was out travelling, catching butterflies in his early days, he would be able to command nature to kind of respond to him. When he was out in the jungle or whatever, he'd say, give me a sign, and then this butterfly would come and land on him, and like beautiful things would happen. And the second he brought someone into the equation, like, look what I can do.
The energy changed.
It changes, and there's something about magic, and the second you start revealing it, the second I guess it's maybe like, attaching maybe to some ego, do you know what I mean? Some look what I can do.
Yes.
Nature's kind of like, no, like it should be for you, and it should be selfless.
Well, it's interesting that you point that anecdote out, because as we will get into, because I want to dig deep into floating and Go Deep Floatation and history of floating, and obviously John Lilly, which we'll get to in a very similar way. But there's accounts of John Lilly from his books where he's floated over a dolphin. I don't know what the word is, because he created a dolphin habitat, didn't he?
Yeah,
that he lived in.
He pretty much turned his office. He tanked his office out with some DPM and realised, I'll just flood my office.
Yeah.
Let's just flood the office, and literally, I think this woman lived with them for
quite
a few years.
And he was trying to. We'll digress. That we're going to get to that. What I wanted to point out is that what you talk about with McKenna there, that ability to almost create that magic in the sense of this connection
and will it to existence.
And John Dee said that he was in the tank over the dolphin below him, the dolphins below him, and he took part in a conversation with them.
Yeah,
and was able, and he said the information was just overwhelming. And people watching this now,
the guy went deep, like way too deep,
But I think so much of that spirit does come from people like John Dee. That alchemy, and Egyptian's a big theme for me. And I love all that ancient knowledge that we can't really grasp, that we can't even fathom. That seems too simple, seems too, at the same time, beyond us.
Yeah, it's like the beautiful moments, and you try and grab them, it just falls through your fingers.
Yeah.
It's just not meant to be grabbed. It's not meant to be seen as such. But yeah, Lily did do some really, really... I mean, he was incredible for the... You know, I mean, he was good friends with Ram Dass and Tim Leary. He was like part of the triad of the counterculture as well. But I think, I'm reading his book at the minute, Centre of the Cyclone.
Oh, yeah, so I've just been reading some excerpts from it.
Yeah, really, really interesting as well. And how he delves, I mean, the way he deciphers it as well is, I mean, he starts to talk, you know, supposed of an alien intelligence. This is like the angelic stuff, you know, are the angels aliens as well?
Earth's
like,
Coincidence Council Office or something, isn't
yeah,
it?
no, that's it, yeah. And it's like the systems and the hierarchies and like the political council and the Galactic Alliance and like really started to go deep into that. And I mean, where do you go from there? It's insane. I mean, floating as well, it can be really revealing. Massively. And I think it's like anything, when you kind of start to get into it, with any hobby or interest in your life, when you start to get into it, you realise you don't know anything. Any hobby, you're like, oh my God, there's so much to learn. Same for floating, even though it's just being, like, eventually your subconscious kind of starts to go to work on you a little bit. Like, okay, you think you can sit in the silence for a couple of hours, like, let's see what things bubble up now, you know, and sometimes you just get such strange imagery, such strange stuff that you are not part of, that you are watching, and it's just like a slideshow of infinity, and it's merging and dancing great from faces to places to landscapes to settings to then you come back into your body a bit and you think, but there's a few times in floating recently actually where I've had to kind of pull myself out and be like, oh God.
Really?
Yeah.
Intense.
There's a presence as well. I mean, I've
had that, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think quite a few people, Drew's had that as well.
Right.
Like, you know, just turn the lights on halfway through, just like, whoa, what was that about? You know, it's strange. It's really strange what can be revealing to you as well, and your psyche as well. Particularly like the jester archetype as well.
Yeah.
Like loves to play around as well, and how much you can handle and things like that. But I mean, some floats you just have a heavenly float and there's nothing.
So, John D, esoteric, floating. We talked on the first episode with you, episode 4. Go back, have a listen. It's really interesting. Kieran's sort of trajectory as a child and growing up. We touched on it a little bit, but what do you think it was that drove you towards the wonder then, and the history and the what is this thing and that energy side of things? What's driven you to that? Do you think what's
romanticizing, I think.
Okay.
From when I was younger, and my mum was into magic. That's where, like,
we touched on that.
She was always kind of doing incantations or reading books and meditating or burning something downstairs when I'm in bed. And she had such a witch's cackle laugh as well, which kind of add to the perfect like storyline of it. So in a way, my kind of archetype was a kind of magical person in my life as well. So I think it's the wonder and awe, and I've always kind of jumped into the awe of what we were saying earlier, of what things that you can't grasp, things that the mind just can't understand. When it tries to decipher it, you're either crazy or I don't know. But I've always been pulled to magic and awe. I remember being absolutely fascinated with magic tricks. Like, I just loved the feeling of getting my mind blown. Like, oh my God, like magic. Like I've always been obsessed with it. I remember when I was 4, I think Smarties brought out this like collect 3 tubes and you send them off in the post and you get this like trick sent through. So I went to the shop and bought like 12 tubes of Smarties, didn't eat half of them, sent them off, and you get this like pencil that you put in this chamber and you flick it up and it's in 3 compartments. You must have seen it.
Yeah.
And it breaks the pencil up and brings it back, and I was like,
amazing.
Yeah. And like we'd always go to Scarborough on like family holiday weekends, and there's a magic shop right around the corner from the Harbour Bar. I was just always obsessed with just getting tricks, and I went last time I was in Scarborough for my 30th. I had to go to the magic trick shop. I didn't buy anything. Oh, I did. No, I did buy.
You stole something. Watch this.
It's magic. The shop's empty.
Go, fucking go.
But yeah, no, it's I've always been fascinated with that pulling the rug from beneath your feet moment, and the people that have kind of inspired that, and I don't know, just kind of trying to always kind of follow the inner kid, because there is, as you grow up, like a logical mindset that you kind of can easily fall into, And I've always tried to keep that wonder alive and that childhood wonder alive.
Oh, what advice that is, you know. For a moment, I'd like to interject. That is good advice, you know, especially at the times that we're in at the moment, you know, where everything is so serious and fearful and difficult. Yeah, I think that is a great life experience passing on of wonderful, simple advice. Remembering, you know, watching, you're a dad now, you know, my kids are, like my first boy was 7 just recently. And similarly to you, you know, I've always been drawn to the energy and the magic in things. Not necessarily magic outright, but the just the wonder of this miraculous experience. And knowing that 7-year cycles, I believe in 7-year cycles. I believe that, you know, our biology and the whole ethos of the cosmos is just this mathematical fucking unwinding. Yeah. Seeing my little boy turn 7, I'm thinking, wow, like, if the science I've read and the feelings I have are right, you know, then there's a good chunk of his foundations are in the ground now. Mm-hmm. And it was just mesmerising to me. And seeing them growing up and knowing that when I get down on my knees and I go into their world and I allow myself to leave my bag at the door, drop on my knees, become a fucking locomotive train or a shark or whatever the fuck I am. I've been Michael Jackson lately. Right? The early version.
Dancing?
Yeah, fucking dancing, and yeah, I surprised him the other day.
I saw your lad actually dancing.
Yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
He's just done us another one tonight. He's getting better, by the way. This is what I'm saying, Kieron, you know, like just tonight, before we had a quick lay down, so I've been in the studio all day, I had a quick lay down in the house, came back out to the studio, just before I came out, Jesse's come in, and he's a bit shy, but when he goes, he goes. So once he gets over the line of like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So he said, put Billie Jean on. We've got a wig. He's got the hat. So he comes in, he's put the wig and got the hat on. And just from last week, the improvements he's made, like, and the commitment and the ownership of his body and his movement that's starting to come is fascinating. And as I'm watching him, I'm kind of, and I've got a picture of me that I showed them that mesmerised them a couple of weeks ago. It's a picture of me when I'm like their age. I'm 5. I've got like a He-Man sword, big white hair, and Michael Jackson Thriller jumper. And as I looked at the picture, I thought, fuck, I was living when it was happening.
Yeah.
Like I was there having this mesmerising experience of Michael Jackson at the minute, which we've been on this, as you'll know, as you go through it, you know, you'll be on Bob the Builder for however long, then you'll be on this, and it's just these mad.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, we've been on probably the longest than anything, longer than Sonic was the last one. But anyway, they see this picture of me with Michael Jackson, and I'm their age, and their little brains are like, whoa. And I was like, well, yeah, when we're watching these videos, this is from like the 80s when I was small.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching him dance tonight, and I'm thinking, so many levels of magic are happening here.
Yeah.
Because number one, this music is still, well, regardless of what your politics are.
Yes, yeah. He is the guy that just transcends it because his music is fucking unbelievable.
The politics, who fucking knows, right?
Yeah.
But Billie Jean comes on. I defy anybody who's got any sense of fucking any kind of a rhythm. Anyway, so I'm watching him dance and I'm thinking, man, this is mental that this music is still in the world and permeating young minds.
Ether, like oozing in kids' minds.
These
still.
6-year-olds, of whatever's going on now in the world, and granted, we don't have telly and media, and we're not like being inundated with the current culture because Terence told us not to.
Culture is not your friend.
Culture is not your friend. So I'm watching him and I'm thinking, God, that's mental on that level. Like, this is still creating the magic for the kids because they not just dancing to it. They want to be this performing, majestic, moving creature.
Become something.
And so as he's doing it, he's really going for it and he's getting lost in it. And I'm just thinking, fucking hell, this is what he's experiencing now. What my little boy's experiencing now is this bliss zen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like flow. It's like complete flow of, and it's funny you mentioned music as well. Like, that's something that I've always linked with magic as well. And I think a lot of songwriters do as well. It's not part of you. Are you tuning into it? Are you downloading it? Is it a magical download?
Yeah.
But yeah, when kids dance, I did dance actually for GCSE. Like,
did you really?
Yeah.
Come on, Kieron. Well, at the end of this podcast,
it was pretty good, man. To be fair,
what contemporary stuff or what?
No, it's kind of like street dance.
Okay.
So I was into break dancing when I was a younger kid, a little bit. Always at the discos when Run DMC came on. Yeah. There was always a guy though that could break dance better than me, but you got to try.
Yeah, I love that. More great advice. Too right.
But yeah, I just decided to do it as it was just an after school, like, what was it called? Like a twilight class. I got a B in it though. It was pretty good. I mean, I just like the expression of it. If anything, it's like ecstatic dance though. Like when you get into shamanism, like ecstatic dance, just getting lost in the moment, raves. It all coalesces and leads to that like moment of bliss,
which is what I was witnessing literally. And then coming back to the point being, you finding magic, wanting to retain that sense of freedom and childlike wonder, and acceptance of things that you don't know and all that.
Yeah,
that's what I experienced from him, and I'm having it every day. In certain ways, I catch myself in those moments and like, whoa, it's happening, and embrace it. And when I allow myself, which is pretty much all the time because I'm a silly boy, I'm fucking running around the house on my knees, I'm dressed up as Wacko, I'm doing all sorts of stuff. And I'm telling you, man, it does something to you, not just in that moment of exchange with your children and they're being enveloped in this safety and in this connection and in this play, but as I go back out about my day, sit here in these conversations or whatever, there's something about embracing that silliness, that play, that just takes the edge off you a little bit when you do get back in the lane of fucking pay the bills and fucking this happens, that happens, and
Definitely, man. It's like, well, there's like laughter as well. It's just allowing yourself just to kind of, well, just be a kid again. And like I'm doing it with Bobby quite a bit now, and like, I mean, sometimes you really do try to impress and he just doesn't give a shit. You're like, come on. Like you just find yourself doing stuff, making weird noises and just contorting your body in weird ways and just like trying to get anything out of him. But you do, and it kind of ignites something within you as well, the wonder again. And I'm like, oh my God, he's really into Thomas the Tank Engine at the minute. I mean, I had mad phase for it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to sit and watch him watching Thomas. It's just like a fractal paradox of life,
isn't it? Yeah,
but then you realize like you're in the middle of it now. You're like, oh, I'm passing it on. Like I'm copy and pasting myself down the line of history. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I wonder if his kids will probably watch Thomas. Maybe not, but that awe or something they will find, and that's what I'm conscious of. I mean, you do it amazingly, I think, with your kids, like just finding what they like and just allowing them to grow.
Well, that's lovely for you to say. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Definitely, because I think it's important just to let them grow.
Well, I've been actually reading up a lot, and listeners and viewers of the podcast who have been around for a little while know now. Alex and I decided to take our kids out of school. So to cut a long story short, we were never really sure about it, and we didn't know how long we'd go anyway. And we always had it in our minds at some point. We maybe thought big school, we'll bring them out and into our environment. Obviously, things accelerated last year in a strange way in the world, and lots of things were happening that just brought us back to that thought with some real intensity. And other things happen in the life, like everything does. Everything conspires and timings, everything, isn't it? And if you can see it or you can feel it or you allow it and don't be scared of it, you kind of just trust it. So we pulled them out. And so in doing so, like everything I do, I think, right, okay, well, I've got my instincts, I've got my feelings. Let me read up, let me find out what the scientists are saying, what does the history books say, and what does the future look like. And I came across John Holt, who's a renegade in this field, who was a teacher, who then spent a hell of a lot of the rest of his life dedicated to how children learn, how children fail, structures of education, and what is best for them. And as you just said, and it's such a reassuring thing, it's about grabbing what they're on with, recognising what they're on with, and then just trying to create the environment where that's available in a safe, loving way. That's it. And if you're engaged, because it's one thing saying, they love PlayStation, well, get a PlayStation, put it in there and off you go. That's not it. No. It's,
He likes playing games.
Yeah. But it's also about being engaged. It really is as simple as that. It's just about being engaged. For instance, at the moment, I think one of the latest ones we did was fire. So little Jessie's been fucking trying to find me lighters and stuff. We've got a lighter in the kitchen and light candles in the bathroom. So there's a couple of lighters stashed around. And Jessie's into lighting lighters and this all the time. I'm like, whoa, Jessie, listen, right, you need to understand. And they did get a bollocking once. We were out camping not so long back in November, and we had a fire. and I'm putting little one to bed, and it's me and the 3 kids on my own in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Just on your own as
Me
well?
and the 3 kids, yeah.
Man, that's a lot of work. Is that a lot of work?
Yes, it was stressful, but again, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The willingness to be engaged and to be committed. The fruits are just you can't quantify them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting them all in the tent, and in Indigo, the my little girl's going in the tent, getting her to sleep, and you know it's a job, man. We've got 2 of them in the woods, in the dark. There's a fire going. I'm kind of half out of the tent. Right, don't go near that fire. They've got sticks, and I don't want to be no, because I know once he burns his hand, he'll realise, oh shit, that's how he'll learn. Me going no. But I don't want him to light his stick and then light the tent and fucking who knows what.
And have a party, yeah.
I'm kind of like, hang on. Anyway, they're fucking about with the fire, and they're getting little bits of ember, and there's embers flying over, and one nearly hits the tent, and I'm like, what? And I'm stressed because she's not going to sleep. Fucking, right, you 2, sit down, look at me. This fire, this is dangerous. I said, and we had like a quick science lesson on wood burns, wet stuff don't burn, tent, poof. Yeah, tent's gonna go poof.
Yeah.
Your jacket, poof. Understand, like and we have this chat anyway. That's at the weekend. Then later that week, Jesse's got the bug. He's got the fire bug. He's trying to find the lighters, and he's blah blah blah.
Is that after the fire?
Yeah, this is after the fire.
Right.
So anyway, they're talking about fire. Daddy, what will burn? Well, this burns. So then Alex and I, having made the decision we've made and knowing what we now know about child-led, because what we're doing is unschooling. So we're not homeschooling, we're unschooling, which is a whole concept in itself, but it's really simple, which is just what I'm saying, which is we're not necessarily sitting down and going, we're going to do this till 12 o'clock, and then at 1 o'clock we're going to do that. It's just, Daddy, will this burn, will that burn? And it's me going, all right, I tell you what, I've got a book where, Robert Burns.
John Dee.
Yeah, John Dee. But fucking who knows, Kieron, yeah. And I mean, it sounds wacky.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It sounds wacky, but listen, if there was a camera in my house and some of the topics that we discuss, I'd probably get taken away from it. But no, that's it. That's the thing. And then the connection that's required from you, from the parent, is just, if you enjoy it, and I heard Gabor Mate say this, if you're overjoyed to be in the presence, of anybody, but obviously your children, everything will work out. It's supposed to work out after that. No matter your financial status, if you're overjoyed to be in their presence, and that's what you want more than whatever else, it's going to work out.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what this is what unschooling is. So then we just went, right. Well, my wife, Alex, she led the way. She did brilliant. She's Robert Burns, the Scottish poet.
Yeah.
So we're messing about with the fire. I'm telling them, we go through a bit of a drill of like, this burns, that don't burn, this is dangerous, that's not dangerous, blah, 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 blah. And then Alex goes through Robert Burns with him and talks about him, and it gets into, he was a womanizer and all this kind of attached kind of history and human behaviour. And it ends with them coming up to the shower, Daddy, look. And Alex is like, he's in the shower 2 seconds. They've all done poems, they've all written poems because he was a poet. Jesse's written a poem, it's called Spring. It was beautiful. I wouldn't be able to re-quote it now. It's only 4 lines, and Sonny's was about his computer game. But the point being is they were that engaged for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours
amazing.
On their steam. So what I've learned via people like John Holt and Alfie Corners is that the way literally the brain behaves and we know this, you've said it about Zen state, and we'll get into it with floating because this is what it opens up. When you want to do something, when you seek it, you absorb it, and it attaches to your emotional intelligence as well as your database or your hard drive, your hippocampus or whatever the fuck it is. It means something to you.
Yeah, there's some sort of like it, especially things that you're passionate about, it imprints on your soul on a real deep level. There's only a handful of times I think it's really, when something really, really burns in deep, but it's kind of like a turning point, and it's like a moment of realization as well, of like awakening where it only lasts a few seconds, but you're like, oh my God, I love that.
Just and again, the same thing happens. Once you allow that in, and then watching the kids, and what we take from it as the parent, as a participant.
Well, you're getting a lesson, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, I'm just coming away with like, wow. And the most fundamental thing is if they are happy, and if they are having fun, and if they're safe and secure, their nose is going to lead them where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. It's an overwhelming feeling, though. You can really go into it. I mean, I completely see why parents just sit and stare at their kids. I mean, I just sit and stare at Bobby just watching telly. Like,
Yeah.
you just get lost in it, and it's a moment, and I think it's such a beautiful thing to kind of like genetically pass on you, but you being awe at the beauty of humans and where you've come from, and you're just in awe of the God you've just created. Do you know what I mean?
God,
and I think
yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing. Like, yeah, it's a different sort of love in your heart for sure. I mean, I've got my love for Annie, and we both agree about this.
Oh,
but
I think any couple that are kind of overjoyed, as Gabor Mate put it, to be in this position. Because, listen, without interjecting too deeply into your beautiful flow there, we live in times where it's difficult to be in good harmony with you and your partner because life's tough and the culture has spun us out a bit. You're lucky, you've got a beautiful, harmonious relationship, and when that's in place, when those footings are in the ground and Bobby comes along and the wolf's not at the door, that ability to appreciate and to be overjoyed is that's such a gift, because it's difficult for us to be that. It's so difficult these days to find that harmony and that space.
Yeah.
And for you to agree, to be able to agree with your wife wholeheartedly, open-heartedly like that, I love you.
Yeah, I know. She was like, but this is something else.
This is different.
Yeah. I love you to bits to do anything for you, but if, you know, it is. It's like it's imprinted on you as well. It's, but I mean, it also as well, what I love about parenthood is watching the person you love be a parent. Like I just get lost watching Annie be a mum, and you're just like, I can remember you in cubes, you know, and like being a mess, and like it's just amazing to watch them grow as well. And then it just this beautiful frenzy just turns in. You just want to be better and make things better. And I love that thing about, what was it again? You feel overjoyed in your heart. That makes sense as well, because it's a mini prayer in a way. Like you're emitting something from here outwards through your energy, electrical body, for your bioelectromagnetic field outwards. Something, there's a reaction going on, and it's joy and it's gratitude, and you know, it's you can go as deep as you want with it as well. Like now when I try and practice gratitude in my meditations, it's always about Bobby as well. Just like, God, thanks for this experience. Thank you for my life. Thank you for this. I've been really trying to get into that recently.
That's
as well.
really, really nice. And again, such a positive bit of advice, you know, just take a minute.
Yeah.
We're all right. You know, I know things are shit at the minute and we're upside down, but we're not under a rock in fucking Baghdad.
No.
You know?
Definitely.
And we're not wandering around the Congo either.
No.
You know? It's
I mean, it's just been, I think, well, when I arrived tonight, you were like, try and hold it together. I'm like, me too. Like, I think I've got it all together. I think. I miss people. This is the most I've spoken to someone in a long time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when technology is good, because, you know, thank God for Zoom. But like you say, it's human interaction as well. And it's like human experience. You can kind of bounce off ideas.
You just said it beautifully. That thing that you're experiencing, that love, that joy, when you're looking at Annie and Bobby, it's in you and it's coming out of you in the smile, the beaming smile that comes across the room. The moment she looks over and catches you just gazing in that warm bed of gratitude.
Yeah,
that resonates to her. And this thing, I mean, it's the invisible magic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely.
It's the magic.
Definitely.
That is magic.
Yeah.
I came to that conclusion that the magic is the simplicity of just allowing yourself to be in the experience, isn't it?
Yeah, and definitely, like, matter, you know, matter's not lacking in magic. It's another McKenna quote, but matter is magic. And when you can just sit back and go, this table's fucking magic. Do you know what I mean? It's just
get the vape out. Come on. Yes.
But it is like, it's nothing. It's all part of it, and it's all, I don't know. It's all part of you. But it's yeah. When you get them emotional responses, though, being a parent, you can really, particularly like we do. I mean, me and I do Reiki as well, so you can really tell what's happening as well. Like with her, if she's had a lot on, 'cause she does a lot of psychic work. Sometimes she comes home and it's...
Again, Annie, episode 11, I want to say. Wonderful conversation we had with Annie. She just came in here and bossed it.
Yeah, she's great, man. Like, I'm always just in awe of her. Like, her poise and her peacefulness that she has about her. I'm always shocked, because she's got to live with me. I'm a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? I'm always just like, I can't believe you put up with that. It's amazing.
Very, very similar dynamics in my house. Yeah, I look at Alex, as, like you say, as a mum, as somebody who manages to harness me and keep me, in a healthy place, but put up with my
We're just babbling. I'm sure you're
non-stop,
just ideas here and there. No, especially with the podcast and this. You know, when you
and far out shit as well. That the average Bob is just going to be like.
I mean, sometimes I go far out, and Annie's like, "She know what she do?" She goes, "Crazy," and walks off. Oh, really? I'm like, oh, I got the glazed eyes. I know what that means.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, you've got a lovely, lovely setup there, and the trajectory of that, wanting to find the magic, whatever that was, your mum doing magic, you being exposed to that safety, that nurture, and the enigma of whatever that witchcraft is.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's all that. They're fundamental to the willingness to surrender.
Yeah. I mean, that is the word.
To this experience, and that's ego. It's your ego. It's the fear of everything outside your skin. It's the fear of not being good enough. All of that stuff. When you surrender, because you can feel love, because you've received love, and now you can give love. It all sounds fucking.
Well, it does. You're in the woo. And that's it, but it's true. Like, it is. You surrender to everything. And I've been really working on surrender a lot recently, particularly with the stuff that we did a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And that's a key part of it. But just being the watcher of yourself and then going, I'm actually a bit... Like when you get out of cryo and you're like, oh, you're observing how you are being. And you're like, oh, well, who's the watcher? It's not me. So I guess, do you know what I mean? If you can watch yourself and be the watcher, that's the best thing to do. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this.
Deep, probably, Kieron.
I know.
You tend to go deep. Go deep. Floatation.com.
Was it surrendering?
Surrendering, yeah.
Yes, no, that was it, yeah. And surrendering with the floats as well, like surrendering, letting it go and just letting it be. And everything, I mean, as fucked up as the world is, everything is exactly where it needs to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all as exactly as it should be. And, depending on how you want to look at that, but I like to think like there's calm amongst chaos when you kind of change your level of magnification. So like you're looking at your skin and a body, like our bodies are at war all the time with organisms.
Yeah.
Step out, you've got a beautiful harmonized body. Like I like to think, romanticize like all this shit, and everything in the world is going like on a different level. There's some sort of beauty that's going to shine through from this, and maybe there is some, calm within the chaos.
Yeah, I agree. I think goodwill's out in the end, but the journey's the journey, isn't it? And we have to earn it. I believe that wholeheartedly. You can't have anything that comes too easy. It just doesn't fit with anything, both physical or emotional.
Definitely.
You have to earn it and work for it and go through it and learn those lessons and experience the pain, man. Because then you appreciate the gratitude.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, this year as well, it's really... People have got time. People have got time back. They don't forget. I know it's crap. You can't see your friends. You can't go out. But now you've got time to sharpen your tools. You've got time to really take log of really what you want. What do you want? How do you want to grow and shine? Whereas being in the rat race, you're in. I mean, to be fair,
you just never stop, do you? You don't get time to think.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's why I want initially, with the floating as well. That's why it stole my heart, because I was just like, wow, it's just a place to go. It's just a place to be. It's a place to just recharge and just being. But I think this year, it's kicked us up, me and Annie, up the arse to kind of sort the website out. Kind of go. She's kind of like jumped on the digital Zoom thing. She's doing a lot of psychic workshops now and like healing workshops, and she's doing really well with it. So it's kind of like weirdly like a catalyst in a way for what we need to accomplish. And we set up like the online store, and I'm going to eventually try and start like vlogging. I've had a camera and a green screen for months that I ordered back in May.
I saw you did a little run out of a potential podcast, which looked great, and I was really excited. I thought, these two just chatting chemistry is going to be great.
Well, he was going to do it on Saturday, and he was like, podcast tonight, and I'm like, I'm just going to... I've been so lazy, and like I need to get back on that.
You might get the bug when this one goes out.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's so healing as well, just talking to you as well. Like Annie said before I left, she was like, "Oh, it's just such a night." She was like, "What are you going to chat about tonight?" I was like, "I don't know." don't know, like whatever, like a lot of stuff I think. But it's really healing. It is really healing.
It's my therapy. This is. I mean, in between. I mean, this talking to people, as simple as that sounds, that's kind of what I'm meditating on at the minute. All the stuff that I'm finding connection to, again, that you're describing beautifully, is so simple and hidden in plain sight. It's that. It's water. It's vegetables. It's breathing. It's talking. It's nature. It's walking. It's all fucking in my pocket.
Yeah. You're a rich man if you think of it like that. I don't need to
fucking check the barcode and the price and wait for the sale. It's just there.
Yeah. Everyone's rich. Yeah.
If you choose to be.
Well, this is it. But I mean, like breath work as well, in surrendering as well, like particularly when I used to do a lot of Wim Hof breathing, I get quite anxious on the holds, because you do like your retention holds. And I just get a lot of anxiety would come over, and it was all about kind of just letting it be and sitting in the moment and just listening to your heartbeat and just letting it all happen. Particularly as well, I think like the past couple of years since I my brain injury a couple of years ago, I've had like...
Which I want to get into, because we kind of got to there. We didn't really go in deep.
I think it was good that we didn't actually, because when I listened back to it, I was like, I don't think I was ready. I think I was still processing a lot, because it was only 6 months after we did the podcast, and I was kind of just like in the mindset of just like, get that fucking behind me. I don't want to, do you know what I mean? I wanted to get into next year as quickly as possible.
Put just, new memories in between.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to get over that. So that's kind of where, well, all the stuff I've been getting into recently with the medicines, like that's been really helping, like kind of unpack stuff that I've been really repressed and not wanting to talk about in therapy, but some stuff that just unpacks itself. And the floating's really helped with that. And again, back to the surrender, back to letting it be, you know, just be. It's
you've done the work. You've created the structure for this, though, haven't you? You know, you've created the relationship that's built on trust, that's built on reverence and respect, and a lot of traditional values that, again, for want or not, they just get eroded a little bit. The traditional value of like, we're so inundated now. You know, it's very easy to be sidetracked. Yeah. With a wandering eye or a nice inbox or a fucking poke. Do you remember when we used to poke each other?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, poke. You know, we joke, but it does feel like the abundance of attention that we are now in the eye of all the time, whether it's us on the, you know, knowing it or not. It's how do I explain it? I can never put this down. It feels like it's could be easier for us to just drop our bags and move on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when you don't do that, when you stick with something, and as you mentioned earlier with you and Annie, when you have that respect and you see each other and you respect, and you said something lovely. You said, you know, we're laughing about being in cubes off your nut, but then watching her be a mum and watching her grow. You said it was lovely watching her grow. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's such a little tiny line. You just in amongst what you were saying. But it's beautiful because that's fucking enormous. Because if she's doing that for you as well, that's how you arrive where you are, at this position where, let's get the float. She's backing you. What do you mean you're going to buy a fucking, what? A 40 grand fucking bath with a lid on? Not, no, you fuck. We're going to, you know, we're going to Tenerife.
Yeah, that's the thing though, man. She's just let it happen. And it's been a massive, like, teacher for me. I don't want her to hear this. But, do you know what I mean? Like, even when I mentioned about the float centre, she was like, "Oh, what?" And like, we went on a honeymoon, and like, I did a float there, and she was like, "Oh, that sounds cool," but it was a bit of a risk. She was like, "Do you think people are going to come?" I mean, the bank said that to me. I got turned down 4 times from the bank.
Really?
Yeah. And I just kept going, and was like, "No, this has to work." And then we're like, "Well, it's just a hell of a lot of money to spend on something." And the bank was saying, "What's your market research like?" And I was like,
there isn't a lot,
there
my friend.
Lot on it. Like, no one really knows him.
It's like 400 centres on the whole planet at that time.
Yeah, definitely. So she's always been, again, like you're talking about raising kids. Maybe she's raising me as well. Like, she just let me kind of go and grow how I want to. And
but don't underestimate your impact though as well. You know, I'm sure Annie, she takes a lot from you as well. You know, you've got a lovely, warm, selfless energy.
Oh, thanks, man.
You have.
You too, man.
You have, and that. I mean, I work on mine. I have to work hard on mine because that is not my natural setting.
Oh, no.
But I do work hard on it, but you have got that, and you make a lovely team. This is why you're in the, like I say in there, you're building this life now. You've got a little Bobby, you've got your lovely place out there, you've got the business up and running, as you mentioned, even adapting in the eye of the storm. You talked about adapting to this crazy fucking difficult time, but you're choosing to find, okay, right, the sky's falling, but let's find a way. Let's find something.
Adapt. You know, when an organism's pushed into a corner, you evolve and you adapt. And like, you know, hence, you know, restaurants doing takeaways now. Like, everyone hustles, and there is. You
have to pivot, don't you?
Yeah, and there is ways to navigate this, whatever it leads to, whatever's going on the craziest levels. In the same breath, I can't indulge in that too much. I think I'm not muting myself in a way, but I'm back to the emotional response you get from things when you start looking into the climate of the world. You get a knot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you get
it's tough.
You get a knot, and you feel like it's doing something to you. So it's not being blissfully unaware. I'm very mindful of how the world is, and like this year, it's been an amazing blessing for me and Annie just to spend time with Bobby. For me to have months off with my son, it's been beautiful.
I tell you what, I was lucky. I manufactured that again. Gabor Mate's work. For people watching, Gabor Mate he's a psychologist, a psychotherapist, specialising in addiction and trauma. But I caught a lot of his work about in utero and the impact of music, talk, environment, stress. Yeah, there he is, powerful. He's that man there.
I've seen him in loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Gabor Mate has impacted me. And again, you talk about that invisible magic, yeah, and the weird connections that his words, I caught him just at the right time. I was about to be wherever, you know, I was so far into my awakening and epiphany of the world or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like Terence McKenna, like Tim Leary, like Paul McCartney, you know, like so you catch him. And he impacted me. And actually, if I collect them all up, because it was so significant to how I was going to be a father. And I'm somebody who had a very difficult upbringing where fathers were concerned. So puzzled a bit. And his words, his advice, his energy that I followed and listened and just listened to his every word, basically, was enormous. And having time, like you just mentioned there, that you've had with Bobby and you recognise how important, we can't quantify how important that is. Just for him to just smell you around, to know you around, you know, to just know that he sees you, you're there. And never mind that you're engaging, you're willing to get on your knees and what do you think to this, Bobby? And what do you think to that? Like, to be there consistently over these early days especially, it's harnessing a bond and a connection that's so deep, you know, it's lost on so many of us because so many dads are out the house at 6 o'clock, kids are in bed. Get home at 6 o'clock, you've got a mad hour, right? You're shattered, you fucking, you know, it is hard to drop your bags and get on your knees. And the kids have got an hour, then they're going in bed, right? All right, let me just get me boots off. Let me
you put tea on.
All right. And have you done your homework? Blah, blah, blah. Right, right, I'll read you a book. Oh, you know, fucking, I'll put you in bed. Yeah. That's 5 nights a week. Now it's Saturday. We might be lucky enough that Dad's not at work on Saturday. You know, and we'll have Saturday and Sunday, maybe Dad goes out on a Friday. Who knows? Mm-hmm. That time that you're experiencing now, that you appreciate it, your gratitude for it is so important. That's my experience, like being there.
But even when, like, I think I was talking to you about this a couple of weeks ago, but like even when the moment's happening and you know how precious it is, again, like magic, it's just going through your fingers. You're like, I'm trying to record this, like I've been trying to do it mentally, like mentally record this, like this is an important moment. He's walking, let me record this moment.
Being present.
Yeah, being really present, really pulling myself in, but still it's just, again, just about just watching it and not trying to grab onto it too much. But I don't know. It's just it's a paradox, and I don't think we're meant to fully compute how incredible having kids is, because that's the reason why every organism is here, because of reproduction from the first cell. Yeah,
and it's the thing, ironically, that'll probably fuck us up.
Yeah.
That's a dichotomy that Aidan, we often come back to that, don't we, when we philosophise after these chats, because he's deep on his philosophy.
Turn that mic on.
So I end up, and again, I'm not a parent who runs around saying, you need to have kids, it's the greatest thing in the world. If we talk like we are and this topic comes up, then yeah, my experience of having children and that love that you mentioned there, that is like the different love, it's different to your mum love that you love, or your dad love, or your brother love, or your wife love, your friend love. It's this other thing. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's better, it's just...
It's in there.
Fucking attached to something that's like, whoa.
Yeah, definitely.
And that experience, as I pointed out a bit later in this conversation, of you being so lucky that you're in that growth mindset with your partner, you respect one another, you want to be together, you've managed to cultivate and keep the stress at bay, you know, keep the bills paid, make a little den together, and just be in harmony together.
Nest, you know.
A nest, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I always think, the nest, your nest on the earth. When you go in your door, you're going into your little nest on this planet. Yeah. And that nest, if you are in harmony in that nest, whenever you go out the door, it's coming with you. And whatever you face, you know, you've got that. If you go in that door and it's not the safest, warmest place that you can be on this earth, mm-hmm. you're going to have a job when you come out of there, because wherever you go, you're not carrying that, you know. Anyway, I digress there.
No, it's beautiful, man. No, I'm completely with you where you were.
But the where I was going, I think, where was I going, Aidan?
I think you lost me as well.
Fucking, I do that.
You were on
philosophising, yeah. So population.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that feeling that we're kind of discussing about, that feeling of loving for your child, that bond, that lift.
It's our own demise.
It feels like, and you're psychedelic, we're going to get to this later in the conversation, you know, we're psychedelic people, we love the idea of magic, midnight gospel, people can't see it at home, you know, the Joe Rogan experience with the, you know, that's a classic, sick. You know, like the psychedelic, the Egyptian, the fucking Amanita Muscara, you know.
The other, isn't it? It's the other.
It's the other, and of all those experiences I've had, playing bands, playing on big stages, reasonable size stages for a little band, love dates, fucking scoring goals in Bigfoot, whatever it is, the overwhelming feelings that I've had about being a dad, being an earth guide to this little bundle of, as you said earlier, this like imprint of me and my wife, this result of our harmony.
That's
just this
man.
Walking, talking fucking thing that we've created because of our harmony. Is there. Yet it's that very thing that it looks like, you know, one of the theories is that many of us mm-hmm. is going to be the thing that is going to be our demise. So doesn't that just slot straight in with life and death and and yin and yang and dark and light and the whole? It's like
it will topple and we'll all be nothing together, I guess. But
write that down. That's the title. Write that down. We'll all be nothing together. Love that.
But that's it. Eventually, I mean, you go deep with it. Like, it's all gone. It will all be gone one day. But yeah, there is a big rise in the population. I mean, the past 50 years is terrifying when you look at it. Exponential rates. Yeah, and I think I remember McKenna talking about it once when... sorry, it's the only guy I've bloody referenced.
No, listen, I'd love Terence McKenna again.
He said we talked to the mushroom once, said, how do we solve this? And the mushroom said straight away, like, you just need to have one child. Like, if everyone in the world has one child within 3 generations, you've easily halved the population. So then I was like, oh yeah, but we're talking about having another one, you know, because it's fucking great. It's just maybe we are. It is our own.
And
demise.
Also for a sibling, to have a sibling when you're young, and you come from, you know, you've got 2 siblings. Mm-hmm. When you've got a sibling and you're of a similar chapter in the book, that's how I sort of summarise it. I'm lucky. We our 3 are. They're all in the same part of the book. You know, they're all
like
in
that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've not got like a 12-year-old at Christmas saying to the 5-year-old and 6-year-old, it's a load of bollocks.
It's not real.
Yeah, it's mum and dad, it's shit.
Yeah, look at the shoe cupboard.
Yeah. I don't want to come to the seaside. You know, like, do you know what I mean? I mean, we joke, but like, you can be around a dinner table and the conversation. So with us having 3 kids in that little pocket, you know, there's a 3-year gap between all 3 of them.
Amazing.
They'll go through well, they would have gone through school together, but you get my drift. Yeah, they're in that pocket. So Christmas is Christmas, and it's pretty much the same for all of them. Or whatever the chapters that we're going through, we're always going to be on the same page, if you like. And I love that. I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But for the kids themselves to have that camaraderie and that teammate and that bounce, I think that's lovely. But it just plays straight back into the hands of the mushroom says one.
Well, yeah, it's just.
What would the world look like if we were all just only child? Everyone was just an only child. That'd be weird. I bet there'd be a different dynamic.
China.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they've had it for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, and mostly men.
What's that?
A lot of it's men, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So what? What do you mean? So what if they have a girl?
Was that a case? Just
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that's like, I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's it's one child policy. So if you have a girl, the family doesn't want to go.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of.
Do you get taxed on the girl? Is it like a tax system? I can't remember.
But I know a load of things like ripple effects happen, like where a lot of like sex industry started with a lot of Koreans going over there and that, and fulfilling the gap of females and the psychological effect on the males.
Okay.
And the whole taboo of the female experience because there's no fucking females around.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's a while when I read that, so I'm fucking 2021. We need to be fact checked by someone you trust.
This is great, though. It is decent, isn't it?
Spanning 2,000 years, China has a history of female infanticide. Fuck.
I mean, the citations are a bit funny, but
Dubious, yeah. But no, I mean, hearsay tells me that, you know, my sort of experience of but I was sure, yeah. I think that sums it up, Aidan. I think, yeah, it's one child policy, and having a daughter was a bit like, for fuck's sake, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, kind of like the weird traditional British, like, I need a boy. I need a boy for the name.
Continue name.
Yeah.
You're a Lannister, the first of your name. You'll fight for the Lannisters. Charles Dance's your dad.
It's not all bad.
Yeah. But talking of surrender and talking of being present, as you mentioned there, you know, that idea you're trying to record things, and a lot of your psychedelic work lately is kind of in that way. I'm at the stage with my psychedelics where it's telling me, DMT especially, consistently at this point as well, to stop not being present, because the being presence I'm really aware of. Certainly in my family environment, I'm really aware of being present. You know, I'm not getting caught up in it, not actively. And we'll get to this in the Cambo session for me, how it played out.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about it anyway. Yeah,
but certainly the DMT was like almost the first time I did it, and I broke through. I was sat at a table like this. I bash on the apparatus until I couldn't do it anymore. It was like shaking in my hand. It was like it was going to it was like a rocket. It wasn't, obviously. I was just having the fucking reverberations. And
the onset.
This fucking thing was like, woo, and I couldn't get, and I just put my head down like that, and I went, like fucking, you know, most people will tell you the experience where they bolt out the top of your head up. I went diagonally.
Straight down
through a black tube with like white purling white strips down the side of it,
like futuristic,
and then just boom, like into this like space, but no stars, just matte black, but it was surrounding me everywhere, just fucking. And then what started to come around all the sides was this perfect digital kind of almost like Atari like hieroglyphic code. And it started coming in around the sides, and then as I started to see that, like the very early throw, and this beaming light started coming up from behind it, like blinding beaming light coming around the edge of this code, and it started to close in. And I can remember thinking for a split second, I wanted to remember it. And as I'm having that thought, because I'd read so much and spent years kind of reading accounts and Terence McKenna and Dennis McKenna and fucking, you know, I kind of was aware that I didn't want to fall into an archetype and expect something. So I was kind of you know, I've got enough psychedelic experience to know just to let it be best I can. You know, it's all well and good knowing that, but
When you're there, man.
when you're there, you're there. So then what immediately started coming was this female voice first, I think.
Yeah, it's weird, but you do get a sense of gender, but it's not. It's very
And voice is the wrong, female presence,
yes, presence,
energy.
And there's a dialogue that's non-verbal.
And it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't a voice, but it was telling me, just be. You don't need, because it made me feel like, oh yeah, I'm having this experience. I'm in this experience, but I'm trying to take notes like a journalist so I can take it back.
Yeah. Don't give into astonishment. You know, don't give into astonishment, you know. Was it death by astonishment? And I've been the same as well, like being conscious of where I am on my journey, and it doesn't like that. I've had it like where, I don't know, I mean, one amazing experience I had was about 3 months ago, and I was in the float centre actually. It was nice. My mate Danny came over and kind of facilitated with me, and like I had a sitter. Because I've done it on my own before, and it's just too fucking much. The nerves.
Yeah, I think somebody to just
to be there and get a bit of happy, and just like had a nice space set out, saged everywhere, and like made it more of a ritual and space. And the more better you set your intentions and line your bricks up of your intentions, and you know you're safe. I had such a beautiful experience. I mean, for me, like, I didn't even fly through a tunnel. I was just in the dome. So I think this is probably like the waiting room, prior to the breakthrough. But then I was talking to people. I was like, oh no. I was talking to Drew about it. He was like, no, it sounds like a breakthrough, man. Because I instantly was in this temple, this domed temple. But the top of the temple, the ceiling was this like Shiva face.
Just bring up some DMT artwork while as you explain this, because
type in actually hyperbolic geometry. I've been reading a lot about this, because that's what gives the dome.
So you're in that dome. You're in the dome.
Yeah, I'm in the dome, and the ceiling of the dome is like a Shiva. I mean, this dome it's like feels like a temple. It feels sacred, really underground. But that's hyperbolic geometry gives that effect. So that's why you get like the 360-degree all-round vision, where you don't normally have in this dimension. But actually, maybe type in just DMT dome or something. Waiting room. Anyway, I was there, and the walls were like orange, vibrant orange Hindu colours, very, very Hindu.
I remember you saying that when we were with Drew.
Yeah. Let me go. DMT waiting room. There's some weird artwork for that, but.
Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Second on the right. Second. Yeah, that one. That's it.
Whoa.
That's literally it. And you can look down. There's corridors going on and on.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I instantly. But the ceiling.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
It was hyperbolic. Yeah, it's weird. It's like kind of Alex Grey as well.
Yes.
Like with the corridors and the infinite. And I got a sense of them corridors leading to different places. But anyway, I saw this feminine presence. And I felt like it was like a mother grandma. It felt like a grandmother. It was really, really odd. And she swooped in and she was just dancing. I mean, it felt like her face was like, I don't know, like 50 miles away, and all the room was her body. And it was so odd, because it felt like, the room was her body, and she was just kind of dancing. It was like Shiva's dance or something. Like she was showing me that like it's all a dance, like life's a dance. It's all a dance. And then she kind of started to work on me. Straight away, the first thing I wanted to ask was, is Mum all right? It's the first thing I wanted to go up straight in. Yeah, I was like, you're going with intent anyway. And literally she came over me. I mean, the room was like her. It was like I was in a womb, but I was in a room, and the temple was her, and I was in the womb again. It was really, really strange sensation. When you're trying to put words to it, you just sound insane. But the first thing I said was, "Is Mum okay?" And it was like, "Shh, fine, shh." It was like, "Shut up." Just she's fine. I got the impression that she gets asked that all the time. And she's like, yeah. Shh, I've got some stuff to do, and
in that beautiful place, look.
Yeah, man, it was beautiful. And I was like on the walls. I was like, oh, it's just. I mean, it bends your head a lot anyway. But it was. I came back just like floored and just like God. It's just absolutely unreal. And the presence and it was feminine intelligence as well. And then I went in about an hour later and I was a bit anxious actually for some reason. I mean, even the beauty can scare you. Do you know what I mean?
It's just so overwhelming.
So overwhelming. And even if it's beautiful and you have a great time, you come out and it's not until a couple of weeks later you go, okay, no, scared to do that again actually. Do you know what I mean? Even it is great. But yeah, I went in the next time and we had the Icaros on. The Icaros are perfect for it because it's just, you've got a shaker and like a mantra sung by a shaman or whatever, which is like the melody and and they can get quite heavy as well sometimes, quite dark.
There's a darkness,
there is. They do take some dark turns, the Icaros do as well, and it's sometimes you get like a man shouting like But I remember I went straight back into the room again, into that waiting room, and then I was a bit anxious, and she could tell that I was really anxious, and I got pushed out of the room back into the float center. And I remember getting pushed to the corner of this room, and then I just came back, and I was back out. It was so strange, and the reason why I mentioned the Icaro is because, well, as the shaker was going on, she was going shh 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 shh, like the shaker. Oh, so it worked like unreal. I was just like, and I was a bit scared in there, and as she was as I was leaving, she was like, shh, it's okay. And she kind of just like pushed me out of the room. And it was just really gentle and beautiful, but like powerful.
That female energy, I mean, for viewers at home, I'll put that down my camera. That's we all know that image, okay? When I was in that space and the beaming white light started to come up around this kind of mad code tablet, Sumerian text, Atari logo-y kind of crisp, this beaming white light started to come up, and then around the peripherals of that, and again, like you say, 360, although not a dome, not a structure, I was in open space.
Okay.
It was like space, but like a cousin of space. It was like Egypt, if Egypt was kind of physically, metaphorically in space, in like a laser form or something. And around the edges, these two of these female, that face or something very, very similar started to move around the edges like this. And then the female kind of dialogue opened up about, you don't need to keep looking. You don't need to keep fighting. You don't need to keep knowing.
But it's a quick rapport. That's the thing. It's a quick exchange. Like, as you're asking the question, it's getting answered.
Yes.
That's what I found. And I was like, is this okay? Like, when I went in a couple of months ago again, like, it was watch your fear. Like, and it got quite heavy and quite dark, but it was like, watch your fear. Like, watch it. And it wasn't like watch it, but it was just observe your fear. Like, it's okay. Don't be scared by your fear. And it was one of them, I don't know, what I took away from it was just, integration's a big thing, I think.
Yeah, and it takes a while, doesn't it? Because it's so profound. I mean, and anybody who's done mushrooms, and again, we've all probably, lots of people in our generation and before and after, lots of people have a psychedelic experience, and often it's when you're young.
Yeah.
In the fucking all the worst ways possible.
Amsterdam Square, mushrooms going around Madame Tussauds.
Yeah, just off you drinking lager and fucking trying to eat fucking pasties and shit. And,
you don't understand it.
Yeah, and the setting and the reverence, whether or not we're talking about you and your beautiful wife and the reverence you got for your boy, your baby, your life, your business, your future, like it's that reverence, and a lot of us have got the experience of, Billy had some LSD and we ended up in a nightclub and it was mental. I saw corned beef coming off the fucking ceiling and it's not normally a good experience for people and it shuts them off. But it's even been proven in those experiences that profoundly the introspection and that imprinting on a subliminal level happens somewhere, whether or not it can be pinpointed or anything. But for somebody like you, and the integration, for me, for talking from my experience, I can find myself years later and something will click and I'll just recognize something about myself that's changed, and often it's like it's just my perspective, my judgments, my ego, my value system that's kind of outside of my skin. How do I see the structure, the order, the hierarchy of what's happening out there,
Yeah.
and who would I criticize, and who would I feel was a threat. Not in a physical sense, but maybe to my well-being, to my, you know,
Yeah.
it could be the fucking gas company or what, you know, just.
Yeah. Well, they are a threat.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
know what you mean.
You just allow, and I noticed. I thought, oh, you know, maybe somebody said to me, I haven't seen for a couple of days, oh, you've chilled out or whatever it is. There's little things that happen, and it's often years down the line.
Yeah.
Especially if you know, I try and do something once a year. I'm not prolific.
No.
I maybe do something once or twice a year. You know, whether it's mushrooms or DMT or something like that, just to check in. And more so now, I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm good for the minute. You know, I'm at the point where those lessons that I've been listening to, you don't need to keep looking, you don't need to keep searching, you don't need to keep fighting, you don't need to keep healing even.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I'm at a point where I can rest a little bit and just think, no, actually, maybe my magic, maybe my searching is right in front of my fucking face. Maybe it's the camping that I know we're going to do. You want to come because I'm fucking banging on about it.
Man. I mean, the stakes are high. You've been really bigging this up.
This experience has kind of taken that part of my quest.
Yeah.
The profundity of being sat somewhere beautiful is, it's not that kind of fucking emphatic, instantaneous thunderbolt of other world, but having that in the bank, because I've got that in the bank, and knowing that exists, knowing that's permeated my fucking,
it's expanded your spectrum, hasn't it?
Yeah. So then now when I am sat here, because I think that's a fucking massive contributing factor to the fact that I can actually sit on a mountain now. Somebody who's like, if my family never went for walks and shit, we didn't go in to connect to anything. It was like if someone said to me, I remember Alex saying to me early days, come on, let's go for a walk. We'll just go. And I'm like, where?
Walk to the shop.
What?
Yeah.
Like what? What do you mean go for a walk? I'm like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, okay.
And little by little, she gets me out. Anyway, so for me now to be able to sit and have this profound feeling of psychedelia. I mean, I've felt the trip out. I've felt the intense beauty and gratitude. And it's from doing that. So I think, and coming back to the last few times I've done DMT and even mushrooms, that's been the overwhelming message I've been getting is like, you can just be where you are at the minute.
Yeah.
Just be where you are. You're getting everything you need from.
It's really interesting you said that because I'm not doing it for a while because that's the message I got. The last time we did it, you'll speak to Drew anyway, but we all got a bollocking at the same time. Like you
really?
Yeah. I went in a couple of times in like a week, and it was like, watch yourself now. Like you don't need to be here. You get it. Like my last trip was I just got showed Annie and Bobby, and it was completely out of the blue. I was expecting to see, and it was like, your life is good. This is as good as it gets in the best way possible. Like it was like, really appreciate this. Try and soak it up. And I came out just like or meds. You don't realize you needed it, but I was like, yeah, I think everything's good. So you saying that, like, I think I'm good for now.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was, because I think if you abuse it, you'll get bollocked or hyper slaps or whatever. I mean, the first time I tried to do it, I had a horrible experience with it.
Take us through it, because you've told me this story. Is this in the garden? No, where was this?
This was in the
in the bedroom. Right,
yeah,
come on. This was DMT specifically, yeah?
Yeah. And it was the first time, and obviously I've been listening to McKenna for years, and you just psyching myself up for weeks. It's been in my cupboard for fucking ages, and I had the pipe ready, and I was like, okay. I built up the courage to do it and sat down and meditated, and there was fear there, definitely. And I did it half-heartedly. I kind of sent it myself, popped downstairs to see Annie. I was like, I'm back in a bit, just going to pop upstairs to the studio and do this. And she was like, good luck, you know. I was talking to her about it for ages. And yeah, I did it. I mean, I've spoke to people. I spoke to Drew when we was in space about it, and you do get a funny look, but there's no way to describe it. But it was pretty traumatic. I took a hit. I think it was like, I don't know, 0.4 or something, like 40 milligrams or something, and instantly felt it in the onset and everything. I think I managed to get 2 tokes, and it was beautiful. And I saw like the chrysanthemum of like the orange ceiling that I always like go to, and then all of a sudden, through I felt a bit of fear in myself. I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. Through my vision behind my eyes, I got like, you know, like in video games like Street Fighter, you get like hit. It's like, and like the whole like camera shakes, and I saw like claw marks go across the whole of my vision, like blocking this chrysanthemum, and it was like immediately something menacing was there, and I got like 3 hits, and I saw these claw marks, and I was like, whoa, and it's like, no, as if someone was trying to pull me away from this beautiful chrysanthemum, this orange, beautiful geometry that I wanted to go through. And then it flicked to this crazy, crazy, realistic, hyper-real, neon, 50-foot alligator dragging me by the feet through chambers, and it was fucking horrible. It was like this tunnel was just opening up, like gates were getting closed every time he pulled me through, and he was pissed off with me. He was like, come on, come on, come on. And then...
see if you can get a visual, like a video play out of some of the DMT
type in Sobek, type in DMT and then Sobek, S-O-B-E-K. The Egyptian god of the underworld, one of them apparently, and he's got like a crocodile. Actually, might be crocodile head. I can't really remember. But yeah, it was weird though, because he was like in armor, but futuristic armor. And I got attacked. Yeah, pretty much that actually. Yeah, that's
reminiscent. I've been that neon lit kind, and the gothic.
Yeah.
The ancient structure of things, and look at the little pyramids at the front and the little that's fucking familiar.
Yeah, it was like the neon, the brightness, and he was wearing armor, kind of like it was like armor as well, like neon armor, and he had a crocodile. Yeah, definitely like that. I thought it was Thoth at first, and then I was like, nah, it's definitely a crocodile. And then it attacked me. It kind of...
And it's as big as that?
Mate, it felt...
Well, are your eyes open or shut?
Shut. This is completely shut.
I always have my eyes
shut. I mean, I wear an eye mask. Right. So when I take I don't like...
Looking at the wood chip on the wall.
Yeah. Seeing the face and everything. Do you know what I mean? But like, so when I do, I'll have like my head thing on ready to go down, because it was all about going in and everything. So yeah, this was behind closed eyes, and then it kind of like dragged me through these chambers, and then it kind of jumped on me and like vibrated, and I mean, you can't describe it. I felt a bit abused, I think, when I came out of it. It was an attack. It was trying to vibrate.
What were you physically responding like? Were you able to stay still?
I recorded it all.
What, video?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I just stayed still. Nothing happened. Really weird.
So you just, and were you aware? Because you can break through, as we've kind of touched on, to varying degrees with DMT, and there's a point where you know, some people call it the tunnel, the breakthrough at the top of your head, where you, and then
the noise,
and there's, I don't know which stage most people consider it, but there's a point when you literally leave your physical body. It's not necessarily when your voice broke through. You can do it when you've not even broke through, but like literally...
No, I was still in the room.
You were not aware of your body, or you've gone. You were still in the room.
Yeah, with the dome experience, I was not here.
Yeah.
But with this, I could still hear the room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're aware that you were on the planet.
Here, but this thing was kind of waiting for me, and it was fucking... it really shook me up, actually. And then I started, reading and delving in, and I got hyper slapped. Like, I was not prepared for it, and I wasn't allowed in. Like, there is times that I've read quite a lot on accounts and like Erowid and stuff like that when you're delving deep into the reports. But like, hyper slap's a thing. Like, if you're not ready and you jump in quick, with not much respect. I mean, the weird thing is I did have respect for it, but I was scared. And
eager, impetuous.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, so I gave it a break for about a year after that. And I was like, obviously I'm not ready. But then like recently, like through everything and the world state, I've kind of been called to like, more medicine work. And not so much the DMT, like you say, like it's good. I mean, that's
different gravy.
Yeah, if you can't, it's not for everyone. If you can't process it, you can really mess up your head if you can't, if you don't have beliefs in magic and stuff like that, and know how to navigate and process them and integrate them experiences. But particularly, I mean, my mate Danny, who comes to Float, he told me about, because I said, I'd like to get some DMT, and he said, no, it's not about that, like Cambo. I was like, what? And he said that's where it's at, and I was like, really? Like, and I started reading about it, and I was like,
Did you know anything about Cambo before that?
Never heard about it. No.
Have you not heard Aubrey talk about it? Because I know you're a big Aubrey Marcus fan. Aren't you?
Yeah, no, I think I've heard about it, but I never heard him discuss his Cambo session because I think he had a really bad experience. I think he got like 9 or 10 dots on his first time. I think he nearly like.
I think I listened to that before I had that podcast on before I was going to work one day on a building site, and I was up early, and I ended up doing a load of housework and just squaring stuff up. I was up, and I can remember thinking, this is mental. Like, I wonder how many builders have had listened to that conversation before they've gone on site. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I was on site last week, bloody listening to like a shamanic Aubrey episode on shamanism. But I love Aubrey. Aubrey's awesome, to be fair.
Yeah, powerful Aubrey Marcus was shout Aubrey out. He's a big inspiration. Yeah,
and definitely, and it's kind of like the space, and he's always talking about doing the work and stuff. And I was like, oh, it'd be nice to kind of meet us like-minded people in little old Lincoln. But with the Float Center, it kind of attracts a certain people as well.
It's beautiful.
So it's great. So I've just been joining the dots really with people. It's been really easy. Like, this has come to fruition. And I started reading about Cambo when Danny mentioned it, and it just sounds quite intense. It kind of scared me. And I was
give an outline for viewers, for listeners, of what it is.
Okay. First off, I've only done this like 3 times, and there's facilitators in the UK that are amazing. It's completely legal. There's a Cambo Federation in the UK. It's legal all over the world, apart from Brazil, and at the minute Australia. This week Australia are trying to make it illegal. What it is really just a cleansing ritual. So there's a tree frog in the Amazon basin. I think it's in Brazil, and when this frog is kind of caught by the shaman, a secretion is kind of given off its skin. It's kind of like a defense mechanism if it's stressed. But the shaman and the way the shamans work is they believe that the frog they're kind of friends with the frog because energy. They're all about energy, and they don't want to be taking secretion off something that's really, really upset. So they take this secretion onto a bit of wood, and then in the Cambo ceremony you get burns. So basically, how this started was there was a tribe. I can't remember what tribe it was called. I missed the name.
Yeah, there we go. Look, so people at home can see the dots going on.
Yep, and they're burned into your skin, and it's the only way really that it can be applied properly, because the legend has it that there was a tribe and the shaman was trying to heal everyone, but everyone was dying and everyone was super ill, and they was trying all the plant medicines, trying every cleanse, and then he took ayahuasca, the shaman did, and got told by Aya to take the secretion and burn it onto skin, and
so the actual method of application
was told through the plants.
Right.
Yeah. So you put a couple of burns on your arm, and the poison is poison medicine. It's all about dosage, but it's that's applied to your skin, and it instantly gets into your lymphatic system. It's about an hour long. Half an hour to an hour long, like a bit of an ordeal medicine. It's not psychoactive at all. It's not psychedelic. It's very, very grounding, and it's more like a purge, really. So you drink a lot of water, and then it's administered, and you have an intense body heat, and it's just hard work for a while. Get jungle fever. That's what Drew said to me. It's like you'll have jungle fever for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then you throw up or sweat. There's loads of different ways to purge. But yeah, it was just scary to kind of read about. But once I did it, it was kind of like, there's something in this. And the idea is it gets rid, as you are purging or you're going through the ordeal, the kind of frog medicine kind of knows what to do. And scientifically, there's loads of peptides in it. Like, it's really good, like antimicrobial, like super, super good for your lymphatic system, just for drainage and cleaning. And a lot of people do it all over the world, and I think there's thousands of people that administers.
Well, I just want to jump in there because we've mentioned Drew a lot. Drew is a good friend of yours. I've recently been introduced to Drew through you, which was lovely. What a lovely, warm, again.
Right.
You mentioned the Float Center. It's true, man. I say this to friends of mine who are, whatever, just like stuck in a rut. I'm like, go to a yoga class, go to a float. You'll fucking meet somebody in a float rate room, that'll blow your mind, and then you'll be off.
Yeah.
Drew is a fantastic tattoo artist and also a very reverent believer in these ceremonies, and I'd called him a shaman.
I called him a
like
shaman.
that.
No, the first thing he said to me when he came to the centre, because he put me in touch with Danny, put me in touch with him, and you'll meet Danny one day.
Yeah.
But Drew came. The first thing he said, "Oh, you want to come to Cambo next Thursday?" And I was like, "Yeah, if that's okay, man." He's like, "I'm not a shaman. Like, I'm not a shaman." He's so humble in saying that.
Yeah.
The shaman didn't want to be a shaman, you know, like the shaman's the wounded that's healed himself. But he holds such nice space. And it was the first time I was introduced to kind of space with people, like a ritual, collective ritual, you know, you kind of, you turn up, you say hi in your introductions, and then, you know, he chimes you in, and it's a personal experience. And
yeah, and when you say chimes in, you mean literally beautiful, ancient. It's as reverent to the actual ceremony as it would be, isn't it? You get that, and you can feel it, because when I did it with you, and we're going to get Drew, you know, Drew's got an episode that's going to come out, and it's going to be interesting as well. But when you took me along, the space is created, which is all from that thing you talked about earlier, that need to follow this through and pursue that, whatever it is. And the fact that he's got that and he created that space, and you've gone there because you've got that, and then I've gone there because you said I think you might like this, do you want to come with me, I think you might take something from it. So then the four of us in that room have got this combined energy in the atmosphere, the memorabilia, the ritual, the reverence that he's showing, and literally we chime that in, because I'm like you, I've created my little space to do my stuff at home. You know, I've got my Moroccan little corner in my place, and I put the candles on and put the sage on. Nice, man. But it was a different gravy in there. Yeah. When we went to Drew, it changes with Drew.
Like, gets serious.
It's serious, yeah. And in a beautifully
humbling way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Even when like you're saging down, he spends like 5 minutes just saging you down. It's respectful, and you're just sharing silence, just meditating with your eyes closed.
Can you pull that up, Aidan? When you see a shaman preparing somebody with the sage and ready for a ceremony, it's special, man.
Yeah.
And again, like we said earlier in this podcast, there's something about that energy, there's something about that belief and that surrender to this thing. Not that we're going to go down this crazy rabbit hole or whatever, but that we're all here in this moment, and we're all sharing it and allowing it to guide us.
You're giving yourself to the teachers as well, like the intelligence, the plant intelligence. Even with like Hape, it's like very, very gentle snuff. There's a little bit of spirit to it when you're there, and it's like just a little kiss of something else. But yeah, just even the space, and yet again, like back to John D and magic and everything. Like the more you approach, is Anthony Bourdain doing?
That's Anthony Bourdain, God bless him.
Oh no, a legend. You know, I only started watching that last year. Like all the
Parts Unknown and stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's amazing, man. Yeah, really, really interesting guy.
Yeah, he really is.
Real shame that he left early.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, all of that.
But it gets serious as well, and you kind of, it feels tribal, you know, like, and you got the Icaros playing, like he does it as much as he can to the book by like how it should have been. So you got the Icaros going, and you know, he sage literally he saged the place out.
Yes.
It's fucking hotboxed with sage and Paleo Santo and things like that. But yeah, the Cambo's really interesting because
Dragon's blood as well, I think.
Yeah, that what it was. Yeah, that's the first time I smelt that the other night actually. But it's just respect as well, and humble for the medicine, and that's the beauty of it with Drew as well. Like and the guys, it's all about the medicine. It's about that's doing the work for you, and we're just holding space. And the more you kind of put into it as a ritual, the more you kind of get out of it. So, but anyway, I want to talk. How did you find Cambo?
Okay, well, so we're in. Excuse me. We're with Drew. I'm in your hands, and for me, leading up to it, you reached out to me, said, "Look, you know, this thing I'm connected to, and of real benefit, and I think you might appreciate it. This might be happening. Let me know if you want me to, you know, bring you along." And I thought, okay, because I've been having these messages of, I don't need to look for anything now. I don't need to search. I'm good at the minute. Whatever I've got in front of me is giving me what I need. But then I thought, right, 2 things how I live my life. I'm all for everything. I've got the words tattooed on the bottom of my back, you know, life, youth, beautiful. I'm all for it. fucking in the bushes noises. Right? Life, youth, beautiful. I'm all for it. Kids everywhere, fucking in the... I didn't get that bit. Fucking in the bushes. But point being is that little mantra for me, you know, I want to try things, I want to experience things, I want to open the door, go through the door, see what's in the room. If I don't like what's in the room, I come back out of the room, shut the door. If I like what's in the room, there might be another door and I'll go in another room. That's kind of how I do it. And secondly, because I knew I wasn't necessarily looking, the fact that it came to me through the harmony, through the connection, through that you talk about, that we share.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I trust this, to the point where the little bit I did know about Cambo through Aubrey and various couple of bits that I've read, I thought, right, okay, I'm not sure. I know it's not psychedelic in any way, shape or form like plants that I've worked with. As far as I know, I think it's kind of a purge. I think you go rough riding, you know, and that's all I knew. And I thought, I'm not even going to get bogged down in reading, learning. And you'd mentioned Hape, which I'd never heard of the Hape stuff. Certainly not in that way, you know, snuff and sniff and things like that. But I thought, right, I'm just going to trust. I just trusted you.
Oh man,
I just trusted that you've invited me into something, and I know my messages that have been coming are, I don't need to search. I haven't searched. It's come to me through love, essentially. So, yeah, let's go and have the experience and see what goes down. So I went with that, and it turns out this is quite pivotal, because here's me thinking I'm an old veteran at this point of like, yeah, I can just let this be. I'm cool. I know this has come to me. I'm just going to, and at the time I'm balls deep into James Nestor's Breathe.
Yeah, great book.
And in that book, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to go through the experience, be surrounded by these people and breathe. And I'd also spoken to Drew in the meantime since you set it up, and he was lovely, just lovely to talk to. Yeah. I just felt his energy straight away. I just thought, oh, magic. Cause
he's incredible. Yeah.
So by the time I get there on the night, I come into the beautiful space. You're there. I'm comforted. Something bizarre happens because Drew's partner comes in, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, mad.
I know his partner from being a boy. When I was a little kid, she's one of my best friends at the time, who I was in bands with, Big Sister. So she's 4 or 5 years older than me. So like when she came around, it was like, whoa, she was like a goddess. You know, like John's big sister.
Okay.
You know, big curly hair, beautiful girl. Don't look fucking much different at all now, which was mesmerising. And as I said, Sherelle, Sam, that was just like, oh, lovely.
Yeah, the cogs align.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm thinking, okay, we're doing, and then as Drew, because obviously you're aware of this whole ceremony being so close to the Amazonian tribal way of doing it. So I'm kind of, thinking, oh wow, this is cool. This is lovely. Lovely tea we're drinking. Anyway, you guys talked me through it. We start with the Hape. You chose
Warrior Heart.
So yeah, let people know about Hape.
I mean, as I'm saying all this, I'm just like so new to it as well, like super humble.
But you know much more than I do.
Hape is it's like a tobacco mixed with different herbs depending on the tribe, and it's administered up through your nose, typically by someone else, through called a caripe. Caripe is a self-administering one. It's like a little bone that you kind of pack up and you can blow it up your own nose, or a turape. I can't remember what it's called actually.
You might be able to find it.
Hape tobacco. Type in K.
It's almost like a little flute.
It is, yeah. Kuripe, I think. IPE, yeah, it might be that. Oh no, that's a self-administering. I can't remember what it's called. Oh no, that's it actually. If you top right picture. It's not actually, that's not nothing like it. Oh no, there you go. That one. Yeah, you got it. Similar to that, yeah. Like the bigger one is administered by the shaman or the person holding space. He
blows through it. You've got it in your nostril.
Yeah, you put about a pea-size amount of powder.
It's like a pea gun, isn't it?
Yeah. There's an art to do it, because the first time I did it, because I've only done it to someone once, because Drew let me do it once to him, and I blew way too hard. Yeah. But it is like there's a way to blow properly. But yeah, I mean, it kicks you in the nose. It kicks you hard. It's not like doing anything else that you've done before, and it's a bit of an ordeal. Stings a bit, but it's super grounding. Like if you keep your eyes closed and meditate with it, like you just become very, very still, and there's quite a lot of static build up behind your eyes, and you feel a bit of a presence. I mean, it's very, very subtle, really beautifully subtle. Like you don't have to really worry about it. Because the first time I did it, I was really nervous because like, stuff I've put on my nose, have been awful nights.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, fuck me, the shit I used to put on my nose. God, that's another podcast. But,
But yeah, no, I always chose that warrior heart, and I've done some...
Why is that then, Kieron? So there's obviously, the little bit I do know is, like you say, the different tribes using the different plants from the different habitats and combining with the tobacco and creating energies, female energies, warrior energy, male energy. You chose the warrior, and again, because I was in your hands, I thought I'll just follow your lead and stay with that.
It's because that was the first one I went for like 4 months ago when I first tried it. I was like, oh, this is really nice. I've tried a few different since. I did try one that was made by a 90-year-old shaman in the Amazon, and that absolutely blew my face off. Oh, this is little old lady making this in the jungle. It's amazing. But it's just really humbling. But yeah, I just chose the warrior heart because it's just what I know really, and like there's probably not much difference in them, and I think some have some iboga in it, so you got to be quite careful with that because I think
that's different gravy.
Yeah, you can't just like throw that in. Oh, by the way, this has got a little bit of iboga in it if you fancy it, just before everything. But it's really subtle, and it's just a nice another string to the bow of the ritual of the ceremony about what you're about to do and get into,
setting you up, prepping you,
like
you say, grounding you.
Yeah, it brings you down a gear, and everyone kind of goes through it, and you kind of breathe through it. Some people might vomit a bit or sniff a bit and like want to blow their nose, or it'd be really painful, but you kind of sit through it again to the ordeal, that moment to sit in it and be still, and then you kind of come out the other side like quite grounded. So that kind of sets you up nicely for whatever you're going to do within the evening. And then it was onto the Cambo.
It was, yeah. And watching you, I just followed your lead. And again, the setting, I can't say enough about the setting. I've just said on the Ramble chat we just put out, trying to make the studio in the furlough days, trying to create an extension of the energy, and make it inclusive.
Yeah, materialise
so
it.
It's so important to me. And watching you do that, I'm like, okay, right. And then you went and sat down, and we had a little giggle because you picked up your tub. You got your tub. I'm like, right, okay. Kieron sat down, lovely little cushion, little sort of, and he's got a big tub, like a bucket. And Kieron said, oh, you can use that one over there. Drew says, you got one over there, Sam, and it was pink. I think I had a joke, it's pink, wasn't it? I said, that could be like ChewTheChat tub. Anyway, so I sit down next to you, and I think, we create the Cambo, which is mixed up and then applied via a couple of dots.
Yeah, they're called them gates, so it's like the gates. So they just take off just the top layer of your skin, so it doesn't bleed. You don't want it to bleed, but you just want to get that top layer off just so it kind of opens your lymph system a little bit, and it's easy to apply it. I think, I'm really new to all this. I've only had it 3 times. But yeah, then they apply it. Watching
you do that, and you're kind of meditating, you're sat there, you're calm, you're in lovely posture, you just, you're in the moment. And I'm watching, and I'm in that place of trust because I've taken that call from you. I've thought, right, I'm not going to research it, I'm just going to follow the flow and be in the flow. And looking back from here, where I am sat now, in a way, like when we're talking about floating or whatever, the idea is to be in the moment. But I was looking back now, I can see that I was putting so much trust in trust that actually that was my focus.
Really?
I was actually like focusing on not focusing.
Okay, yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of without knowing it at the time, just like, I'm just breathing, I'm just being here, I'm just breathing. I was actually... I'm just breathing, I'm just being here, I'm just breathing. So anyway, I watch you get burned, and then you have your dots, and you sit and you meditate and you wait. And by which time I'm taking mine. And I shut my eyes and I sit and I wait, and no sooner are my fucking temples just
feel it.
And my whole head starts. I feel like my head's like 6 foot circumference. Heat rushing up through my body. I'm like, oh, whoa, breathe in, and I cope with it not so bad. I can feel it. I knew it was coming, the jungle fever. Okay. and the heartbeat, the noise, the sound, the orchestra. I'm like, shit, this fucking jungle's going through me.
And there's like a sharp, there's a sharp sting goes down your arm.
Yeah.
And then there's a blast of heat. And for me, because of my brain injury as well, like I'm always super paranoid about the pressure. But again, it's just like a lesson, like it's okay. But yeah, it can be the onset for the first 5 minutes is pretty intense as well.
And just as I start to come out of that, I hear.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I vomit really bad anyway.
And I mean, we're talking poltergeist level, like from where I was, like put yourself in my shoes. I'm like in this kind of quite naive, vulnerable, but trusting, first time situation. I've just like hung on to myself through this fucking, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then, and it sounds like, fuck, he's filled his tub already.
I purged quite a lot of Drew. Yeah, I think I purged more than normal. I think. Drew's always like,
this is what's interesting, because I didn't, did I? So as you're purging, as this happens over the next 15 minutes, you've maybe hit your tub, I don't know, 4-5 times. And I'm nowhere near. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, just be. Because it is quite a visceral experience when you've gone into a ceremonial purge, and somebody right next to you is purging, there's a violence, there's a physical fucking visceral thing happening next to you. There's, all the impact and the body convulsing and everything. So it's quite a harrowing thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know that this is coming to me. It's like, fuck, this is coming. When's it coming? It's not coming yet. And then I start thinking, oh, it's not coming yet. And then I'm thinking, don't think that. Just be. Back to the be. Breathe. So I'm just, okay. And I think I did a good job of that.
You smashed it. But then Drew put 2 more on you.
But yeah, because then Drew said after about 20-25 minutes, he just, again, real nice. He just made his presence, I think he did a bit of sage.
Yeah. Just melts into your periphery.
And just melted in, and he just said, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He said, you're probably about the same body mass as me.
Yeah.
And kind of that was enough. He said, so, if you feel at any point, you might want 2 more dots. He said, I would normally do 4 dots, and just sort of melted off again. And I thought about it, and I thought, I'm here. I'm here.
You're in it.
And he knows what he's talking about. He's watched me. He thinks this is the way to go. Okay, let's do it. So he does the other side. And then, fuck me, the jungle fever again. Again, the sharpness straight away. Woo, and it comes quicker. Fucking like I've got 4 hearts in my chest.
Yeah, it's insane.
And then I start sweating. I sweated, and I was farting, and I felt like my whole life's experience was
I farted loads of my first time,
leaving me through my arse, right? And a little bit of me began the idea of being conscious about that, and it was that was interesting. So
during the process,
I had a thought of a thought.
Yeah, okay.
So as I'm fucking. It's all, my life's falling out my arsehole. I had the beginning of a thought of like, oh God, everyone's going to, and then I realised, no, you daft cunt, this is what it is. No one gives a fuck here.
Shit and all, it's fine.
And that was really peaceful for that split second. And then once that was it was dealt with, I was just fine. I'm just like, okay, this is what my body's doing. I'm thinking, shit, I'm going to be purging in a minute. And I don't purge.
You did, didn't you?
I did,
okay,
but not for the next, I'm like 10 minutes in.
But you were sweating.
And I'm gushing.
I remember looking over at you because I was like in my bucket, and I was like, because I've done it a few times now, so I know the process of finding the waves to jump on when you start to purge. But I looked over at you and I was like, you're drenched. And that's your purge as well. There's no... The medicine does not do its work if you don't purge.
Yeah.
Like you can sweat, you can, like Drew says, you put some on and you just don't even feel it.
He's cried before,
He's cried before, yeah.
Just cried.
You cry, and it's whatever really comes up, really. But it knows, it's really, really strange because... Sorry, continue with your story anyway, because I was going to branch off. But no, it kind of knows what to do. I mean, the first time I spoke to Drew about it, he did this with his hands. He was like, it just gets in. It knows what to do, and it does. It just... Your body's working. It's a bit of an ordeal. It's a hell of an intense experience.
I've just said 10 minutes into this. I fuck knows how long it was, but it felt like, because I was aware, like, I'm not being sick yet. Especially after the second one. It might have been. Drew told me on the episode, I'm sure. Eventually, I'm like, whoa, I had a thought flashed through me of a couple of family members, and it just came across.
Yep.
That was
Quick.
it. Yeah. And then I went, and then from there, I think I hit that tub about 4 times, but not in a projectile way. Like, it's like my body did it on that occasion through the sweat and through the flatulence and the gas and the whatever the fuck.
Yep.
But when we started to come, I think I hit that about 4 times, that tub, and then I started to felt like a cool down. I'm not sweating so much.
Normalise a bit.
Yeah, and I think my ankle was still quite bad, so I was struggling to stay comfortable. I started to move, so I started to because I think I was kneeling for a bit, and then I sat cross-legged, and then I had to get on one hip and sort of straighten my leg out.
Yeah.
I started becoming aware of that, so every now and again I'd open my eyes, just check I'm not about in. What I've missed completely, by the way, here, drinking water consistently and incessantly like that is really difficult.
It's really hard.
That's one of the hardest parts of it.
Yeah, I mean, before you started, because you need to drink 2 litres of water before you put the dots on. By the time you started, I'm nearly ready to be sick anyway, because you're just sick of drinking water. But I really got into
Yeah, you had a really good rhythm. I was struggling to get in.
Well, no, first time you just kind of, you don't know what the fuck's going on, and you I sweated a lot on my first time, and purged a bit. But it's funny you mentioned that, because for my first purge, I got an image of my granddad and my grandma. My granddad throwing a rose on my grandma's coffin.
I remember you saying it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's something I haven't really thought about or unpacked. And that was my first purge. I remember seeing a flash of that, and then the reaction. I was like, there's something. The way I see it, I mean, I might be completely wrong, but they're like little rungs of a ladder. When you catch it, it's catching the right wave. When you feel that coming, or sometimes I'm going to be sick. What's going to spring to mind? And then boom, it comes through, and it really feels like, again, the more you put into it as a ritual and the process, you kind of get out. And sometimes I'd feel it coming out, and I'd be like, oh God, I needed that. I really needed that. But yeah, drinking water is. I mean, I think maybe I've been reading. Maybe I drink too much. You got to be careful because your sodium levels.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's all right drinking it as long as you're purging. But if you keep down and you're not purging, your sodium levels can go and you can pass out.
And it was much easier. The guys did a great job of sort of having it room temperature ish. I mean, you'll know more than me being a plumber, but it felt that being warm. But I've just the real estate to get it in for me was just difficult. But I did have this other feeling of I feel like I'm getting enough in me to transport whatever's happening. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think I was deficient with it, but I was struggling to do more of it. But
it's hard.
But as I started to come around, I mean, and a couple of those purges, I think the second, the last few, I mean, I thought I did about 4, but again, Drew will fill me in, but a couple of them were those ones where you just feel like a fucking bald eagle's trying to burst out your rib cage.
Yeah.
You know, when you get caught in that, and it just
definitely.
And that split second of oh my God, I'm gonna, and
the heart's gonna break.
And then it passes, and then you go, all right, and then the bile or whatever comes, and then that lovely thing that we all get when we drank too much or you smoke too much or whatever, and you finally get to that peace when you're like, it's okay, it's over.
The end of the tunnel.
For now.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's a horrible ordeal, and I've been doing it every month. I'm going to plan to do. Well, I don't want to do it too much, but I'm going to just see what it does and what just put myself through the crap, because it's horrible. I don't want to go again.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it.
That didn't fill me with joy about the idea of doing it again.
No, it's terrifying. It's not terrifying, but
you said to me, it's weird, man. See how things go for days. Yeah. You're not going to leave it. And I got back, and my wife asked me, how was it? How was it? Because she loves hearing my endeavours into all this stuff. And I said, can we do it tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. And she's obviously, because she's aware so much of, probably she's pinpointed what my traumas are. A lot of them, what they are, is family orientated and stuff that I've spoken about. And she's kind of hopeful that we're getting straight to root and we've pulled it out of the ground tonight. It's all fixed. Yeah. And I was like, oh, no. Anyway, and then the next day we tried to talk about it in the kitchen, but the kids were running about. I said, look, and it still didn't feel right. It was a bit of a godsend for me, actually. I didn't want to. I was like, look, I just can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
And not in a DMT way of oh, fuck me, how do you even put that into words? Just in this weird, I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What was that about? And it's hard to. It's weird. I mean, for me, even the day after, same Annie, how was it? You know, what did you sort out? Did you sort anything out? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I think there's maybe a shift. But then I realised the days after, like, just clarity and like clear directions in my thought. Like I get to like the end of a thought so quickly, as opposed to like being a bit muddy of a thought. But like now it's kind of like boom, there you can think about that, and it was very, very instant. And the next, well, for me as well, like every time I go, it's something is worked on that I need to kind of work on, that I don't want to face. Be it something really stupid that just affects your psyche from a young age maybe, or like an encounter when you're younger that you don't really want to think about, or anything. It just, I don't know. This is it. You're right. I don't
even
know.
now, I'm still like, you know.
You can't put your finger on it. This is the thing. You don't go, I feel.
Yeah.
You don't know, and it's odd, and it is odd, and it's.
Do you know what I've come away with? And this plays back into this thing for me with my psychedelic kind of endeavours sort of slowing down as I move into natural endeavours at the moment in this chapter. And one of the lovely things that I came away with was meeting Drew. Again, another dot connecting, community, like minds, energy, frequency. Also, the difficulty of it, you know, the question, you know, the physical difficulty and the mental, you know, it's mentally and emotionally difficult to know that you're just about to embark on a violent purge for the next hour. Like, to know you're doing that. I mean, if you knew when you went on this roller coaster, you were going to fucking literally be sick, you know, I'll leave that, you know, I'll go on it if I have fun on it, but if I'm just going to end up, you know.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you're like, I'm going to spend my evening away from my wife and kids
and put myself
pay
through
money to do this.
Yeah.
On paper, it looks mental.
Yeah.
And it is. And it is. And it's. I'm still trying to work out what it's doing. But Annie, my wife, has been like, you're completely different.
No, I've come away. I mean, I was scheduled to go for a bike ride the next morning, wasn't I? I was up on the Wolds with powerful Dave McGregor. And we went up to the Wolds. It was beautiful. I was at his house at 7. But what I did find was, because we'd fasted all day,
the day before,
prior for the Cambo, for me it was quite a late night because I'm early bird. So it's quite a late night, and I don't think I ate much at all. And then I got up and went early, didn't eat anything. And I generally fast anyway.
Okay.
I'm normally kind of about 11, 12 o'clock before I'll eat anything, you know, noonish. But then getting on the bikes in the Wolds, we did like 7 miles or 10 miles. I got a puncture halfway around on my front wheel.
Oh, no.
Now, I wasn't necessarily physically exhausted, but I think the emotion, just the whole processing of like the magic, even the magic stuff, never mind just the sitting and purging, but like the whole, that's a lot. For me, somebody like you who looks for magic, who feels magic, the reverence for these experiences, just meeting you and being with you guys in that room and knowing that this exists in my place, this is where I'm from, this exists, this energy, all of that just absorbing into me. Then the fast, you know, then the purge on top of the fast. Then I might have had half a banana on the way out, you know, driving out there. I can't remember. Or I might have had it after. But I certainly felt a real, not drained. I don't know the language to put on it, you know.
It's like a lethargic empty.
Not lethargic, because I could, if I needed to do, I could do. I don't know, but overwhelming. Just an overwhelming,
It's hard to understand. I mean, that's why Drew's always like, the frog knows what to do.
Yeah.
Just leave it to that, leave it to the spirit, whatever. Like, because the more you try and unpack it, you just like.
Yeah, it was great, man. And I, like I said, I come away meeting a beautiful guy. And
but that's it. I'm so glad. As soon as it happened,
awesome.
I was like, oh, you know, you would definitely like this, just because of the fact that of the space as well. Like, it just resonated with me. Like you say, it's not just the experience, but it's the sharing and the primal. What's the word? Familiarity of doing a ritual with strangers like that. It feels familiar, even though, like, genetically, some sort of primordial, like,
trust.
Yeah.
The trust required. I mean, and set and setting will tell you all about it. Anybody who does, you know, pay attention to any kind of psychedelics or interested, set and setting is a term that was coined that's critical, really, and breaks down in many different ways. But ultimately, it's trust. You know, for me anyway, my interpretation is trust. And when you're going into a space with other people that you don't even know, like when we referred to those early experiences when you have acid in fucking wherever in the Arboretum, or you have mushrooms in, you know, Amsterdam Square or in the Bulldog Cafe.
Oh God!
You know, that trust that's not necessarily there. You might be with guys you don't know, or there's somebody else random. You know, like. But when we went in that room, when we were in that position, in that circumstance, there's a everybody knows that we've come with this intention. This trust is there naturally, and it's such a powerful thing. And in this climate that we live in today. Mad digital speedy fucking code communication and disconnection. I think that's a really
that's
a
a
really
medicine. That's
powerful thing.
Yeah, no, it's bang on, man.
That's primal thing. That's how I feel it. What you were describing there, it's like it's in you to feel this and to have this trust and to let go like this.
Yeah,
and we don't get to do it as much.
No, not at all. And to be quite sensitive as well, in a way, like kind of embracing your feminine and your warrior in you as well. Like it's kind of like afterwards you're kind of like, oh fucking hell, a bit of an ordeal, but I feel a little bit stronger from that. But for me, I took away like just the sharing of space, and I've been hungry for that, and I was satisfied after. I was like, that's what I've been looking for.
Yeah, it's lovely.
In all this, you know, drugs and stuff. Like, no, it's space and it's people and it's sacred and it's respect. And not a lot can go wrong if you go into it like that, I think. And it's just family as well. Like we're all a big family, and I don't know. It felt like home. And Drew's so welcoming as well. Like it's just nice.
I can't wait to bring him in and get his episode out and people meet him. And yeah, he's a lovely guy. Look, we'll go all night here, Kieron.
What time is it?
We're getting on, yeah. But
yeah.
Obviously, it's a difficult question to answer. What's the future with Go Deep, and how do we move forward? I mean, who can answer a question about the future right now?
I mean, the future of Go Deep. I mean, we're really lucky. I still feel really blessed that we started at the right time. If we were any bigger and had retail space and had 2 or 3 tanks and took that risk, we'd have closed. Like, we were just so lucky that it's at the stage now where it is at still. I mean, eventually, like, we want to get, like, you know, build a cabin, like, out in the middle of nowhere, do a 3-tank centre. But at the minute, I'm just holding down. It's ticking over, and we've got all this shit going on. Like, it's needed. I mean, floating's going to get busy. I mean, from first lockdown, from July till November, we're so busy. Like, mainly guys as well now. Like, loads of regulars coming every week. Guys really doing the work.
Ace.
Do you know what I mean?
I love hearing that.
Yeah, and it's been really nice. Even Annie was like our Saturdays and Sundays were just getting just out of hand. Like, she was busy doing the Reikis and the readings, and was looking after Bobby, and I got to float in. And
the seekers, man, these are the seekers.
Yeah. No,
Matt Frost was saying he hopes with the cryo as well that, you know, I think did he mention a guy that he bought his off Aiden had sold something like 9 in that same time span, and it's like doubled his, you know, the interest and the significant impact of what's happening and what we might be able to do about it, and people sort of having the time as well, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, eventually I'd love to, you know, expand and really set up with Annie like a holistic.
Yeah, she talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah, that is like the big pipeline dream for us both, and to build like a proper centre. You know, we've got friends at herbalists, friends in like acupuncture, doing the floats, and you have your cold therapy as well.
But my wife will do the doula in, and we'll all sit in here and chat about it.
Yeah, man. But thanks so much for coming as well to the night. It really. Yeah, I'm just thanks for coming and putting your trust in it as well.
It's a blessing, man. I see that as like I say, in this crazy 2021 where everything's metallic and fast and throwaway, good old connection and meaning like that is worth. We can't even quantify it.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And what you've done here and the way it's grown, it's great to see ideas grow and just following your gut and keeping that kid alive. Nice
one. Well, we've got a lot of exciting stuff that's going to happen this year, and we're going to persevere. We're going to keep on keeping on. You know, broadcasting is permittable, so You know,
It's weird times, man.
it is weird times, but
Do you find now you censor yourself?
what hits that in here?
If I said a few words to pick up the algorithm, do you know? Do you know what I mean?
I've been caught by the algorithm. Aidan and I have noticed it. So when we had a guest on, who I reached out to, a guy called Darren G. Episode 29.
Listen to that.
Big episode.
Powerful episode.
That's at like 145,000 views or something now. And for my little page and our little endeavour, which is, I think, will be a year old on the 27th of this month. And the first 10 episodes were just me and my laptop, and you were the first one. It went out as number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 10 was lockdown, or certainly the world turning upside down. It was like, right, I've got a load of time off. Fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's turn this into video.
Yeah.
Since then, you know, we grew and grew, and then I reached out to Darren, and he was great, and he come on, and it turns out he's got a mad cult following. And it was like, fuck me, 30,000 views in like day one. I was like, whoa, I got caught up in the comments, started reading comments and getting all carried away. Oh, yeah, they think it's great. It's up there with the biggest podcast in the UK, and they're getting, you know. And then, oh, who's this host? Fucking hell, boring cunt. What's going on? He's having me fall asleep. Shit. Load of nonsense, couple of baldies. And all this stuff. So then I was reading that, and I was like, and I fucking know, I love the YouTube world. I go for the comments.
Yeah,
right?
I do. Yeah,
I know it's just a fucking waste of time unless you're going to say something positive like love this or love heart or love and peace or whatever. Like, what are you doing?
yeah. What?
It's fucking carnage.
Yeah.
But here I am reading it, and I literally had an epiphany.
Did it get
I
to
had
you
an
a bit?
epiphany. Yeah, I read these couple of. I mean, and also let's put it in perspective. So we're hitting 200 views on a video, 100 views on a video. Bang, 30,000 views, yeah?
Yeah, that's mad.
And then you realise, fuck, shit, it's real. Because there's 1,000 comments and they're coming in fucking thick and fast, and everyone's got an opinion on you and what you're doing. 9.5 out of 10 of them are just fucking great to fucking just fair game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Tiny little 0.5% are just the odd one, like maybe 4 or 5 that I've come across. I mean, because I'd stopped fucking reading it all.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was like, and it's a really interesting psychological moment because, again, you know, I'm aware that this is the process. So as it's happening to me, I'm aware, I know this. Like when you go into a psychedelic experience, I know. Bang.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mike Tyson says quite beautifully, you've got a plan till you get punched in the fucking mouth. Right, so I read in this comment.
Sorry, by the way, I watched Logan Paul's podcast last week with Mike Tyson. He ate 5 dry grams just on the air and just carried on talking, did the whole podcast.
Mike Tyson did?
Yeah. Just
I've got to check that out.
Ate like 5 grams. They were all like gobsmacked. He was just like, just absolutely fine. So anyway, sorry.
Oh, it's amazing. I'll check that out. I didn't know. I hadn't seen anything about that.
Yeah, it's
I'll
mad.
check that out.
Yeah.
But that feeling, I had it. I looked at this comment and I caught myself like, I mean, and listen, I'm way beyond any kind of defending myself or like, hang on a minute, mate, I worked really hard on this. I know, I'm kind of a wry smile. I'm like, oh, I'm there. I'm
It's
in
friction.
this person's opinion of me from afar is probably just a lovely person who's struggling in their own way over there, who's seen this podcast and thinks, oh, fucking, it's just another dot in the fucking cosmos.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm like, Alex, fuck, right, come on, we're going camping. And we just packed our bags. I fucking made a pact with myself, which initially was for that period of time, which I've tried and I'm trying to keep up full stop as a behaviour, which is to get that thing out my hands as much and not pay it so much attention.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult job because we're pretty conditioned. Well, I am at this point. So, but I did it, and we went off and we camped, and we went up the beautiful waterfall, cold therapy in the water on our own, just me and my wife on a date night, bottle of wine, couple of steaks, top of the Peak District, beautiful.
Man, that's perfect.
Oh, it's gorgeous. You know, a nice vape and bottle of wine, and yeah, amazing, and just disconnected like I do when I go floating. I know I got to go float. I got to unplug. And I came back and I just thought, right, I'll look, because it's so tempting to look. You know, this thing I'm working so hard at that I'm driven to do, to talk, to express, to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you do get this thing come back, 20,000, 25, you're like, fucking hell, you know, you're like, what is it? And again, that behaviour, the numbers, it then becomes about that.
Number
it's
game.
not about that, but you can't help but be drawn because there might be more, or there might not be any more. There might not,
Why is there no more? Yeah.
And that whole thing's playing out. I'm like, no, just be. So I do it. I pull it off. I get home at Sunday night, unpack everything. I don't like look at my phone and I just like wait till the time's right and I check it, and it was up to fucking whatever it was up to, and I was like, fuck, that's mad. And then from that moment on, I'll breeze across the comments. If people have made the effort to write something, I will read it, and I'll interact as best I can. Everything positive and meaningful, I always get back to it. But being drawn on stuff and drawing my conclusion on somebody else who's drawn a conclusion on fucking what?
Yeah, it's wild, man.
Yeah.
People who spend their time to do that, though, you just think, oh, poor little bugger.
That was a moment, though, man. And again, in a growth mindset, like okay, I get it, and then we move on. But after that, the fucking verbose me getting to the point of what you said there about. So we done censorship and stuff. We done a podcast with Long Gusto just after.
Yeah.
And we did a DMT special, pretty much with Jay Bird, tattoo artist. And both of those, we were hitting some higher numbers again, as far as our general sort of, we'd gone from a couple of hundred to this big hit.
Yeah.
Where subscribers went up, and now a couple of hundreds turned into 700, but in the Long Gusto episode, we got chatting about the situation and the remedies for the situation in the way of, I think at the time they were talking about the PCR testing, and then the vaccine was going to be rolled out, and will it be mandatory, and is it going to be fair game tested, and all the fair questions.
Yeah.
And we got told off. We didn't get a strike. Well, we did get a strike because you get 3 official strikes.
You get 3,
but you get 1 to tell you next one's a strike. So we got told off,
right?
Because we're not allowed to spread disinformation.
Mate.
Now I went back and watched, and I thought, what is going on here? Like, what? When disinformation, we make a caveat during it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Just a human being trying to make sense of my experience and what we're being told from this direction and what we're learning from this direction, and somewhere in the middle is something. So we got squashed in, and I mean, it might be my skeptical side, but I can't help but think, and also, we don't shy away from it. You said it there, what if we spoke about, that's what we do. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, what not to do. Yeah. I'm here with guests, connecting, trying to unravel. If this podcast probably hasn't done it better than any, when we get into the root cause of what is this thing, the wonder. That's all I'm in this for. And if it comes up and we've got to be truthful and talk about stuff, that's what we'll do. So when it does come up, we are quite vocal on it. And I know other podcasters that are much bigger than me that are well aware that they stay away from that topic. Or the variations of topics now that have come under the umbrella of it, because that's the whole kind of words.
Such a weird time as well, because the algorithms have really ramped up in this crazy year as well. Like I mentioned to you as well, I got deplatformed. I'm having to make Annie an admin on the page now, so she can actually boost posts.
And that's for Go Deep.
Yeah.
That's for your business.
Yeah, because I'm claiming God knows what and what algorithms have picked up. I think because I'm part of like a float collective in the UK as well, like a Facebook forum for all float tank owners in the UK. And there's a lot of, I put a question out a couple of weeks ago saying like, it's just been happening to people, and they're like, the algorithms are the best way to put it, or to take it. Well, in the best way to kind of take it is the algorithms are just overshooting. Oh yeah,
everywhere.
Well, like I said, I'm having to get I've messaged Facebook. It's impossible to speak to anyone. Don't know why my posts can't be boosted. I think it's probably because you're claiming well-being. What the words health benefits.
So is that your understanding then? The idea of the algorithms catching words like mindfulness, like therapy, like all the words that will be in this podcast description.
I'm part of a few forums, and there's a forum. I had a skin issue last year that I mentioned ages ago. But I'm part of a forum on that, and everyone's getting deplatformed now for posting pictures on there because it looks like self-harm of their eczema, and they're talking about itching. The words like itching. Just really, really like, and it's quite funny now because admins are kind of getting around the algorithm by replacing words with numbers. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen that?
Yes.
So like float will be like, the O will be a 0.
Yeah.
And I have an idea that that's how people will be getting around the AI in the future.
Someone did say to me actually after that Long Gusto where we talked about it and we got that slap and what seems like a bit of a shadowing or a shuffling to the bottom of the algorithms, to use other words. And there was a couple of alternative words for COVID and coronavirus. There was a couple of words that they were like, you know, you call it this, you call it that. And I was like, well, yeah, if that came into my realm, because that's what I was calling it. Like, I've quite taken to calling it the Kung Flu at the minute. I think that's great.
It's good. Give it that.
I think I'll stick with that one.
Should
But
be
no,
that.
so you're lucky then in the sense, like you say, timing wise, and I'm similarly with my business actually, because I just downsized the day job
Right, okay.
just before Christmas and kind of put myself into a much more manageable situation, which requires more of my time to be away. As we mentioned earlier in this podcast, I'd manufactured, without really knowing at the time, but a way of being there, working at home in the office and being around my kids in those critical first 5-6 years. You know, I nailed that down. And then as it turns out, I timed it to just be, and as the world fucking caved in on itself, thank fuck that I didn't have a bigger enterprise and
Yeah.
a lot more responsibility in people's livelihoods.
Overheads and yeah, definitely, man.
So
Definitely.
do you think then you're going to be lucky in the sense that your business can tick over, and hopefully we do get to the point where human beings can, you know, use each other's services?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to be open again, because after the first lockdown, it showed me that people have already been taking stock of their mental health. And,
Yeah.
like, they're really, really delving into
So
it now.
pleased with that.
Yeah, I am, man. I mean, it has to happen the way the technology goes, and if we're going to survive with this symbiotic evolution that we're going through, wild camping, being primal, floating, everything to get away just for a bit, just to realign you a bit. Like, I don't hate technology; it's part of our advancement, probably. And like,
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love what we can do. It's amazing.
yeah, it is. So, but I mean, in regards to the future of, so what was the question in regards to Go
Just
Deep?
you know, obviously making sure that you can keep offering your service and that you can keep that motivation and you can keep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get digital. I mean, this is, if anything, this has kind of kicked me up the arse to get digital. Like, just bought a new mic, got an SM7B finally, and going to start vlogging and just like float videos. And there's not a lot out there. There's actually not a lot on YouTube. It's all like homemade. Like, I know Hamilton did one.
Yeah.
And
I've actually got one. I made it private. I did one for my dad. I did a vlog of a float because my dad broke his neck at 15 playing rugby
Jesus.
and was not supposed to make it through the night, nevertheless walk. And he's managed to get himself up walking and uses a walking stick. He's getting on a bit nice, 63, still strong as an ox, still, you know, positive attitude, still after it. And when I was learning about floating, I was like, oh man, this is going to be amazing for my dad, because that's tension release and the body to be able to be without the, you know, the heat of gravity and stuff. So I was telling him about it, and you know, my dad's open-minded, but he's, you know, he's not. I'm not going to find him sat next to me in a ceremony.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
Purging
he's
away.
open-minded and he'll listen to me and he'll take on my ideas, you know. So I'm like, oh, there's this thing floating. And like anybody you tell about floating like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, a lot of people are like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
It does sound mental.
What, you just lay in a fucking bath?
Yeah, you just lay. You can do it. I love the comment. I can do that in my bath.
Yeah.
You can't fucking do it in your bath.
But I said it to him and I thought, right, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make a vlog. Maybe I'll clip a bit into this now, maybe. And,
Right now.
Yeah, right. You got it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Hope you enjoyed it, guys.
Look at my fucking hair.
I think you look great.
So I did, and it was one of the first times I'd ever done that, because I've never been a selfie person or any, you know, turning the camera on myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, my ego's fucking big enough, but I just haven't. But I did that for the first time, like, and talked to the camera and like, okay, and I you know, this is where it is, and this is calm water, because it was at Nick's place back then. And I went in and I took him through like this reception and just tried to give him the experience. And then I sort of said sayonara as I sat in there, and it just so happened on that particular float, I had one of the razor sharp memory floats. I had like one of those just travel back to the concise fucking stitching of my t-shirt I could remember.
Wow, okay.
I was with family, my dad's sisters, my cousins basically. So just so happens this one that I'm documenting for my dad had this really poignant family kind of connection, because I went back to being in a field in Devon as like a 6-year-old, and my 4 cousins all female. The youngest one is 6 months older than me.
Right.
So we were out there with them, playing with the horses, and I remember there's a couple of big bulls and cows and these rolling hills, and I could
That's where you
smell
were
the
in your
grass.
float.
In my float, I could smell the grass. I could see that, like the print on my t-shirt, like a Superman. That was like, all the print was flaking off on the edges, and I could remember that. Oh no, those and I like went through as I was remembering it, I could, and it was just fucking HD.
Wow.
8K.
Yeah.
And I was there, and I can remember running to that tree and hopping over that little bit of fence, and really powerful. Anyway, and then so I opened the lid, and I've left my phone on the tower, so I can just go straight to a, kind of document. And I speak to the phone, and I kind of tell my dad, and how I feel, and blah 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 blah. And I sent him it, and it's just a little private video. And however many years later, a couple of years later, I ended up moving to Thailand, and found, this is the beauty, found a float centre in Bangkok.
Amazing.
I contact him, young lad, my age, from Texas. Pretty much got the same story arc as me. I'm just fucking kicking around where I'm from, and I can't see where it's going to go, and fuck it, my dad's in Thailand. I'm going to start a float business in Thailand, because that's what I've got, a business plan set. This is what I was going to do in Thailand.
Really?
I was going to get my roots down, and I've got a business plan in my Dropbox files.
Have you really?
That I'd set up for Patio Float Centre, yeah.
Nice.
So I initially called him for, to chat about doing a float, and then I sort of let it be known that he's in Bangkok, I'm in Pattaya, that I've got this sort of idea to put down, and he gave me a load of advice, and he was really cool. I went to see him in Bangkok, and I took my dad. My dad was up for floating. Now, my dad's a little bit cautious of it, because obviously it's going to be great for him getting in that salt water and floating, but he's vulnerable in the sense that if he falls, he slips, he can't get in there on his own, he's going to need helping in. Okay. That whole deal. So he's a proud dude, although he's open.
It's quite revealing and...
And just like, so he was up for it. We did it. We went out there, sat down with, God, don't let his name evade me.
What, Texas dude?
Texas. Let's call him Texas Pete. Out of respect, it'll come back to me, and I'll send him love. So we sat down in his space, ready to go in, and we're talking my dad through it. And my dad's cool, and he's liking the space, he's kind of feeling it, and we take him in, and my dad's got his shorts on already, and we, both of us over the arm, over the shoulder, get him in, make sure he's cool, hit the buzzer, let us know, we time the float so I'd be out, shut the lid, and Texas Pete says to me, "Do you fancy a muffin?"
As in a muffin?
As in a muffin.
Yeah.
And what I love is because he just knew.
Yeah.
We're both similar age. I'm from the UK, he's from America. We've both come to Thailand. We're both from, because we've had that chat that you have, oh, you love floating, oh yeah, podcasts, this person, that person, Terence McKenna, blah, blah, blah. Back then, Joe Rogan, obviously, because his American connection as well.
Yeah. Texas now.
So then it was just like, do you want a muffin? I love that. It was just like, we are on the level, and like,
we're bros.
And I'm like, oh yeah, fucking too, right. I said, but then I was worried. I did say to him, I said, yeah, but it take fucking ages to kick in, and I'll be out the float driving around Bangkok off with your dad. So anyway, he goes, oh no, I've done them. He says, when I do them, he says, they're 20 minutes to come in, and just a little listen. He taught me through the milligrammage and whatever he'd had in it, and he says, no, he says, for me, the perfect is 20 minutes. So anyway, we had a chat for another 10, 15 minutes. I get in my float, and or did we even get my dad out? And then I went in. I had a while with him anyway, whichever way around it was. Yeah. And then I go and get in the float, right? I can't remember a lot about the float. I know it was sound, it was good. And I can remember having the feeling of like, this is mad, I'm doing this. I'm in Bangkok doing this. Because actually the setup was so similar to what I knew as Nick's. And what I now know as yours, that beautiful, tranquil, again, the energy that's been put in, the minimalistic kind of just open space, warming space. Yeah. And it was mad because it was in Thailand, because obviously when you're driving around Thailand, it's mental what you're seeing everywhere, So that was bizarre. I remember that. That was about as much as I remember the float. Then I got out, and I remember my dad was sat there already. So I must have gone in after, because he sat on the sofa like where we were in the beginning. And they're chatting, and I come and sit down and chat, and my dad's just smiling, I'm smiling, and I'm like, obviously I'm like, how was it, Dad, how was it? And he's like, he couldn't really put his finger on it, but he's just smiling.
That's great.
And good and like, you know, and intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation's flowing. And I'm kind of like, a bit like the old, the vapes and that, you know, you don't really, whatever he'd done in the dosage of this muffin was just like wrapping around me. It was only until...
It does, man.
It was only until I get in the car and I'm driving, my dad's in the passenger seat, and I realise, oh yeah, I'm in Bangkok. We're going back to Pattaya, which is 2.5 hours which way? Right, hang on a minute, right.
Let's go.
So I'm keeping it together. My dad's cool, he knows where I'm at, like, he knows what's going on. I'm
Does he? He knows
yeah,
it?
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Okay, sound.
So I'm like, right, you might have to be my co-op here, you know, get the sat-nav on. I'm like, yeah, this way, that way, this way. And then eventually we get out and we're on the Sukhumvit Road, which is the highway, yeah. And at that point I'm comfortable and we're chatting, how was it, Dad? And I just noticed him, he's looking out the window and like, just having simplistic moments, you know, like
a child.
I think he said to me, I can't remember exactly, maybe I'll ask him, but I'm sure he had a moment where he was like, my boy's here with me, we're in Thailand and, you know, you're here.
He saw it. Like,
yeah, you know, man. And all the, because historically, you know, it's not been good, we've been separated and there's been a lot of trauma and all sorts of stuff, so all these years later, me as a young 32-year-old or whatever I was, we're together, I've taken him on this experience, he can't put his finger on this experience, but it's obviously opening up, you know, we're together anyway and all those simple things. And I feel that happening and I'm like, I know the perfect fucking music now, because my record that soundtrack that holiday was The War on Drugs.
Yeah, okay,
Lost in the Dream.
Yeah.
And the first track,
Amazing.
Under the Pressure, just that chapter of my life, that record, and especially that track, and I just put that track on. I knew he was in a good place. I knew where I was going. And I put that on and it was just beautiful. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful moment of like, and I knew then in that moment, I'll carry this moment, you know, like.
Yeah, you recorded it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
And the soundtrack, you know, sweeping, I mean, if you know the track, I mean, fucking it's beautiful. Anybody who hasn't listened to Under the Pressure by The War on Drugs, I think it's the first track on Lost in the Dream.
Sorry to interject, but can anyone else smell burning?
Oh, I can a little bit, yeah. What is it, Jesse? It's not Jesse, is it?
Oh.
No, it's that. Can you turn that down a bit? It's just that bad thing I've been on all day.
No, sorry.
I think the back of
Probably
the blanket on it.
Yeah, be sucking it up a bit.
Fucking, it's all pyrotechnics around ChewTheChat. They don't mess about.
I was just worried about that plug you put in.
It's like being at a Kiss concert. No, yeah, that's a point actually, Aidan. Yeah, I've been messing about with the plugs, haven't I?
But
definitely radiator smell.
That's beautiful, man.
That was a beautiful moment, and knowing that he'd done it and floated, and I'd give him that experience.
I'm yet to get my dad in the tank. I really want to get him in it. And he went through a phase of really being into his meditation when my mum and dad got divorced when I was about 10, 11, and he went through a phase of listening to a lot of Enya.
Fucking powerful Enya.
Yeah, it is, man.
I'm not having any bad words said against Enya.
But then he did listen to a lot of, like, he'd pull up sometimes as well, and he'd have like the Bloodhound Gang on, and I was like, "What, Dad?" Listening to the Bad Touch. And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Then Enya's on the next track. I'm like, "This guy's going through some shit."
Yeah. It's purging.
yeah. No, he's a legend. But yeah, I'm yet to get him in the pod, and I really think he'll love it. But
getting together, man, as you know now from Little Bobby, you know, and I think we covered it early on, whatever you're doing, whatever the endeavour, you know, be overjoyed.
Yeah, man.
However simple it is, looking out the window on your way to the seaside, just sat on your sofa on a Sunday afternoon. I did it this weekend with the kids. I took them into Star Wars, right? So, I mean, I can go all night, yeah. I've got to stop, but I'm enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this chat tonight. Watching Star Wars at the weekend. I tried it with them a while back. I'm not massive Star. I kind of, my dad taught me to watch Return of the Jedi. I'm not a Star. I don't know everything. I can't remember. I've got fractions of the films.
Love the concept.
Yeah. And I tried to get him to watch it because I thought, this would be brilliant because I'm sharing it with him. I don't really know a lot. And it's fucking, anyway, it was a couple of years too soon. Then we put it on the first one, Hopin', was it Aidan?
A New Hope.
The New Hope.
That's the original, right?
So I'm watching them in the chronological order of being released.
Yes.
Because fuck them new ones.
The prequels and
PC
Disney,
bollocks.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but that's just my the one I have watched was just like totally just.
It's like Disney though, isn't it?
It's just serving up all these cliches. It was just awful. But that first one we watched it the weekend, and again in that moment, this is what I'm getting at. Verbose me again. I just looked across the sofa. And my daughter's like, I'm laid across the 3-seater sofa watching the telly in front. My daughter's kind of like off from the top of the sofa, like hanging down on me with her cheeks on me. My big lad's like underneath me at the front. I've got him in like a half guard, and Jess is kind of on top of me up the side, just wrapped around me, and we're all in this little knot of just love.
That's amazing.
Just in our house, just watching a fucking film that's 45 years old. It's real simple, you know. And if you recognise them moments, it's amazing, you know. And I think that's a nice takeaway tonight. You've dropped some lovely anecdotes, and I don't want to call it advice because it's just your experience relayed, which is beautiful. But I think a lot to take away. You know, simplify.
Yeah.
Simplify.
Yeah.
And this, you know, if we can get out there this year, which we will, we're going to go camping, yeah?
We will get out there. We will. I can't wait.
We'll go out and we'll go camping, and we'll embrace that and see how that goes. And all the other stuff as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, man. I'm super stoked. Blessed to know you, man.
Listen, it's a beautiful thing. We can bring this kind of conversation to people who are interested in this kind of thing, or not. Yeah, might find out you are.
Just find your medicine, whatever.
You might just think, what a couple of fucking woo-woos them cunts
Oh
were.
my God, I'm so glad I shut off sooner.
What would Annie say?
Crazy.
And there we go.
Just walk out.
Peace and love, Kieron. Go
Peace
deep.
and love, brother.
Everything's in the description. Look
Take it
after
easy,
yourselves.
guys.